Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever you're at in the world. Welcome to Last Raps Baseball's live commentary of the Nippon Professional Baseball League. Tonight, we are bringing you the Orix Buffaloes and the Hokkaido Nippon-Ham Fighters, as this will be the first game in the first stage of the Climax Series of the Pacific League. And it'll be a matchup that will take place in all games will be played at Escon Field in Hokkaido. And tonight, we're going to give you the starting lineups. First of all, for the visitors from Osaka, the Orix Buffaloes. Leading off tonight and playing third base is number 6, Yuma Mune. Hitting second at first base is number 31, Ryo Oda. Hitting third at shortstops, number 24, Kotaro Kobayashi. And the cleanup spot and playing left field is number 67, Kai Nakagawa. Batting fifth at second base is number 5, Masahiro Nishino. Hitting sixth, the DH, number 4, Tomoya Mori. Hitting seventh in right field is number 99, Yataro Sugimoto. Batting eighth and doing the catching is number 2, Kenya Wakatsuki. And batting in the ninth spot and playing in center field is number 30, Taisi Haruka. And they are going to be set to face Hiromi Ito, who takes to the hill with a 14-8 record. Ito has worked 196 and 2/3 innings. He's allowed 179 hits, 60 runs, 55 have been earned, walking 29, striking out 195. Allowing and pitching to an ERA of 2.52. Well, that's your starting lineup for the visitors from Osaka. Now your starting lineup for the Hokkaido Nippon-Ham Fighters. Leading off in center field, wearing number 12 is Kota Yazawa. Batting second and at second base is number 38, Kaz Ishii. Hitting third and doing designated hitting is number 99, Franmil Reyes. And the cleanup spot and playing first base is number 21, Kotaro Kiyomiya. Batting fifth at third base is number 30, Yuya Gunji. Batting in the sixth spot and doing the catching is number 64, Yua Tamiya. Hitting seventh in right field is number 66, Chusei Manami. Hitting eighth in left field is number 5, Yuki Namura. And batting ninth, the shortstop, number 43, Tetsuki Mizuno. And they are going to be facing Shinpida Yamashita. He takes to the hill with a 1-0 record. He's only appeared in 4 ball games this year. He has worked 21 and 2/3 innings. He's allowed 14 hits, 3 runs, all of which have been earned. Walking 7 and striking out 31, pitching to a 1.25 ERA. Buffaloes Fighters, when we return in just a few minutes, it is Last Raps Baseball YouTube channel. We'll be right back after this. We've got the first game of the series, the Climax Series between the Fighters and the Buffaloes. The first pitch is just around the corner. The Fighters are taking to the field. We'll be back to give you all the action in just a few. For those of you who are keeping your eyes on Major League Baseball, the Tigers and the Mariners are going to the bottom of the 15th inning. And our friend Gracie Lynn is in here. So hang tight, everybody. We'll be right back after this. We'll be keeping an eye on that one too, but I'm sure that's probably where everybody is. Hang tight, Gracie Lynn. We'll be back in just a couple of moments.
Hello, this is Eric Fox, formerly of the Oakland A's and Texas Rangers baseball teams. If you want to learn about Japanese baseball, see Coach Fred of Last Raps Baseball. If you want baseball instruction, see Coach Fred. If you want to learn about golf, do not go to Coach Fred. Fred, what kind of club is this?
At Last Raps Baseball, we know baseball. That's right, everybody. We had no baseball, and that is for sure. And we're glad you guys could join us here tonight. It is going to be Hiromi Ito who is taking to the hill for the Fighters, as he's going to be going head-to-head against Shinpita Yamashita, as it'll be a battle of these two Pacific League ball clubs, the second and third place teams, as the Fighters will have home field advantage in this series. The winner goes on to play the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, as the Hawks will begin the series with a 1-0 lead against whoever they should face. And as I said, we'll be keeping our eye on the Detroit Tigers and Seattle Mariners, who are battling as they go to the bottom of the 15th inning. Our friend Gracie Lynn in the house tonight. She says, I already picked the wrong game to do. Yeah, the Tigers and Mariners, of course, still tied. I was listening and keeping tabs on that for most of it, but wasn't going to be able to look in onto that one at all. She says, how do the Hawks begin the series with a 1-0 lead? It's much like this series. The Fighters have a 1-0 lead in this one as well to begin. That is usually what they do. So it all gets stacked up. That is the advantage that you get for finishing in the higher seed. So 1-0 leads already for the Fighters and for the Bay Stars in the Central League, as the game between the Bay Stars and the Giants will be going on tonight. We will stay with this series for tonight and tomorrow, and should it extend, we will continue to stay with it. If not, if the other series is one that will go quicker, then we'll bounce over and give you the rest of that between the Bay Stars and the Giants. Well, Ito's completed his tune-up tosses. It'll be Yuma Mune and Ryo Oda and Kotaro Kobayashi to come to bat here to start the first inning, as we are live, ready for all the action. Ito, first pitch on the way of the 2025 playoffs, is a fastball taken for a called strike, and we are underway. Mune, Oda, and Kobayashi to get things going for the Buffaloes here in the top of the first. As Ito leans in, gets the sign from his catcher, Tamiya. He works himself into a set position and delivers. It is a fastball swung on. It's grounded softly over to second, fielded neatly by the second baseman, Ishii, who throws to first, and Mune is in the books on a ground out, 4-3, 1 up and 1 away, and that'll bring up the first baseman in Ryo Oda. Gracie Lynn says she doesn't understand. I'm confused with the 1-0 lead. What's the logic behind it? Yeah, I guess they don't like extra money for the games, but each of the series begins with 1-0 lead. They actually talked about it in the wild card series in North America, but the players had shot that down when they added the wild card round. As the first pitch is on the way from Ito, it's a breaking ball that misses upstairs for a ball. The count's 1 and Oda. Oda hit .283 on the year with 10 homers and 52 runs batted in. Had a real solid season for the Buffaloes. Buffaloes wearing their navy tops and their white pants. As the pitch on the way from Ito is a breaking ball that misses inside. The count goes to 2-0. Fighters tonight donning their all whites with the light blue trim. So 2 balls and no strikes to Oda, as he works himself into the set position and kicks and delivers. Fastball that just is taken for a called strike, and the count goes to 2-1 to Oda. Looks like it's going to be one of those nights the home plate umpire really gives a late call. So we'll have to hang in for that with him, that's for sure. As the right-hander kicks and delivers, it's a fastball swung on and missed. And the count now goes to 2-2. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. If you're keeping tab on the Tigers and the Mariners, it is still tied at 2. And that game was in the bottom of the 15th inning, as Cal Raleigh has just flown out to center field in that one. But they have advanced, and it looks like they got runners on the corners. And there's a fastball that misses outside to Oda, and the count now runs full to 3-2. So the Tigers are in jeopardy right now, potentially of losing this ball game, as they have a runner. The bases are now loaded as they intentionally walked Julio Rodriguez, and they have 1 out, so they have to face looks like Jorge Polanco. There's a fastball swung on. This ball is driven into left center field, and it's going to be dropped by the left fielder. Oh, it hits the deck, and cruising into second base is going to be is going to be Oda. Nomura, the left fielder, he had to go a long way to have to make the grab on that. We're going to wait for a scoring decision. I don't know if that is going to be ruled in his favor. We'll have to take a look. It is going to be an error. So that is an error charged to the left fielder. So E7, and the Buffaloes have a runner at second base with one gone, and that'll bring up the shortstop in Kotaro Kobayashi. So Kobayashi stepping to the plate, batting .260 on the year with 9 homers and 43 RBIs. Well, that ball was completely whiffed on, and it did hit the glove of the left fielder, hence the error. Looked like he tried to close the glove before he caught it. I'm Schroeder in the house. It has been a while. Gracie Lynn said, who are the teams in the Central League in the playoffs? It is the Bay Stars hosting the Giants. Winner gets the Tigers. So here's the first pitch from Ito. It's a fastball taken for a called strike, and the count is 0-1 to Kotaro Kobayashi. So no balls and 1 strike. Game in Seattle potentially nearing a finish. Both of those teams have had a hard time tonight driving in runs. So Kobayashi hit .260 on the year, 9 homers and 43 runs batted in, as Ito checks the runner at second. And now he delivers. There's a split finger pitch swung on and missed, and the count now goes to 0-2. I have to tell you that Kobayashi's stance at the plate, he is very rigid from the waist down, has a slight lean up top, and has a very, very strange swing. So no balls and 2 strikes. He almost looks like what Kerry Carpenter is doing for the Detroit Tigers, where he has his foot up in the air and just tries to time the pitcher perfectly. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Fastball misses down and away, and the count goes to 1-2. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. And it looks like that Jorge Polanco has driven in the winning run, and the Mariners are going to go on and play the Blue Jays. That'll be a super series. And that is it. 15 innings in Seattle, and that game is completed and finished. So 1 ball and 2 strikes as Ito checks the runner at second base. Kobayashi waits. There's a pitch swung on, grounded up the middle. It's going to be fielded by Tamiya, moving to his left. As he throws to first, I say Mizuno moving to his left. It's a ground out 6-3 for the second out of the inning. Oda is moved over to third, and it's going to bring up the left fielder in Kai Nakagawa. Well, now that game is over in the 15th inning in Seattle, we can concentrate here. My friend Hem Schroeder says, is it him or is it that the Mariners seem to have the most extra innings every year? Well, the Tigers and the Mariners, when they faced each other, they found out that neither team wanted to be able to drive in runs. There was a lot of players in scoring position that could not be capitalized in that one tonight. Well, good luck to the Mariners and the Blue Jays. It'll be the battle of the 76 expansion draft. The winner goes to the World Series. There's a first pitch fastball taken for a called strike, and the count's 0-1 to Nakagawa. Nakagawa hit .284 on the year, 12 homers and 53 runs driven in. We will keep you updated on that game in the Central League as both of those teams are going head-to-head. And there is a changeup swung on and missed, and the count now goes to 0-2 on Nakagawa. It was interesting that they have left Trevor Bauer off of the roster, have the Bay Stars. They played an Industrial League team last week, and he got roughed up to the tune of 5 runs in 1 inning pitched. That was seemingly the decision to leave him off the roster. There was talk about him being on the roster and used in middle relief. As the 0-2 pitch is on the way, it's a fastball that misses down, and the count goes to 1-2 on Nakagawa. Defensively tonight for the Fighters, from left to right field, Nomura is in left. The center fielder is Yazawa with the right fielder Manami. Around the horn from first to third, it is Kiyomiya at first. The second baseman is Ishii. Mizuno is at short, and Gunji at third with the battery of Ito and Tamiya. Again, the right-hander Ito getting his sign from his catcher, Iwa Tamiya, and he works himself to the belt. Checks the runner at third, and now he kicks and delivers. The 1-2 on the way is a split finger, misses down, and it goes to 2-2 on Nakagawa. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. We'll hang in for both of the games in this series. Of course, tonight is game 1, tomorrow as well. And should there be another game, we would stick around for that one, which would be on Monday. So here comes the 2-2 pitch as the right-hander holds himself to the set. Now he kicks and delivers. It is a split finger that is down. The home plate umpire says that Nakagawa had gone around. He's going to ring him up for the 3rd out of the inning. And the Fighters are going to escape an early error here made by their left fielder. No runs in the inning, no hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left aboard. We are through a half inning, and it is the Buffaloes no score. The Fighters coming to bat. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be back with the call in just a couple moments on the Last Raps Baseball YouTube channel. Right back after this. Welcome back, everybody. It is going to be Kota Yazawa, Kaz Ishii, and Franmil Reyes to come to bat to face Shinpita Yamashita here in inning number 1. Yamashita, as we mentioned, only appeared in 4 ball games for the Buffaloes during the 2025 campaign, as he does get the nod here in game number 1. Yazawa, who was a dual player for the Fighters up until this season, he pitched both and played in the outfield for Hokkaido over the last couple of seasons. But this year here, he looks like he has laid down the pitching glove and has just left it with an outfielder's glove. He gets the start in center field tonight. He hit .247 on the year with a homer and 18 RBIs. He can run a little bit. He did have 11 stolen bases on the year as he steps in. And the first pitch from Yamashita is a fastball at 97 that swung on and missed, and the count is quickly 0-1. Yamashita can bring the gas. That is what will be on full display here tonight. No balls and 1 strike as the right-hander holds to the belt. Now he kicks and fires. There's a fastball swung on and fouled straight back, and the count now goes to 0-2. So no balls and 2 strikes it is. Be interesting. I've got a lot of thoughts on the way that the pitching had been used by the Detroit Tigers in that game or in that series, and even leading into the playoffs of how they've been using their staff, as there's a ball that swung on and tap foul over on the first base side. Count remains at 0-2. Interestingly enough, even the lineups tonight for the Fighters and for the Buffaloes have raised my eyebrows a little bit, although there are a couple of players that are injured. The Fighters actually have 8 hitters available on the bench tonight, whereas the Buffaloes have 6. They're carrying an extra pitcher or 2 in the series here. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Fastball misses up and in, and it backs Yazawa off the plate, and the count now goes to 1-2. So a ball and 2 strikes. And our Filipino friend says he just came from the Mariner-Tiger game, and that was a long battle. Absolutely that for sure. Yeah, they were going to the starting pitchers. I kind of wondered why Detroit waited so long. There was a fastball that swung on and lifted foul down the left field line, although I have to say that Jack Flaherty certainly, well, even Cater Montero, who pitched a couple innings for them, were not exactly the most effective. They were not throwing strikes. And sometimes with starting pitchers, it takes them an inning or so to get their sea legs. And then, of course, you get the quick hook. So I don't understand what the thought processes was there at least with Detroit, as there is a split finger swung on and fouled away, and the count remains at 1-2 to Yazawa. The outfield tonight for the Buffaloes, from left to right field, Nakagawa is in left, Haruka is in center, the right fielder is Sugimoto. Around the horn from first to third, Oda is at first, the second baseman is Nishino, at short it's Kobayashi, and third base is Mune. With the battery of Yamashita and Wakatsuki. As the pitch is on the way, there is a breaking ball taken for a called third strike. Oh, Yazawa, watch that one go by. He's gone for out number one, and that'll bring up the second baseman in Kazishi. M. Schroeder says that Roki Sasaki has become the most loved Dodger really quick. Well, all year long, they've kept them mothballed. And now he is all of a sudden being used out of the back end of their bullpen, blowing 100 miles an hour. Here's the first pitch. It is a breaking ball that just misses down, and the count is 1-0 to Ishii. Ishii on the season hit .259, 6 homers and 30 runs batted in. He gets the nod at second base in the series. He had 332 at-bats during the regular season. Pitch on the way. Fastball swung on and missed, and the count runs even to 1-1. So 1 ball and 1 strike. Both games in the bottom of the first, as we keep an eye on that game between the Bay Stars and the Giants, as the 1-1 on the way. Breaking ball misses outside. Now the count goes to 2-1 on Ishii. If I had to make a prediction, I would think the Buffaloes are going to win one of these games here. I think they're going to get at least one. Although I do think the Fighters are the better ball club. I do think they have the depth to win the series. But I think the Buffaloes might get one either tonight or tomorrow. Fastball misses down and in. That was the fastest pitch of the night so far at 98 miles an hour. So 3 balls and 1 strike to Kazunori Ishii. Our friend M. Schroeder is saying there's a fastball that the home plate umpire says that Ishii went around on, and now that runs the count to 3-2. He said about Roberts putting in Trinan instead of Roki in a 4-3 game should have been a crime. Yeah, absolutely. But his computer probably told him something different. I have a big problem with some of the way these games are managed or mismanaged. Here's the 3-2. Fastball taken on the inside corner for a called third strike. Back-to-back strikeouts looking recorded by Shinpita Yamashita. That's 2 outs here, and that's going to leave it all up to the designated hitter in Franmil Reyes. Well, for Reyes, he enjoyed a really good season this year. If he's not in the best 9 or best 10, I guess you would say, in the Pacific League as a designated hitter, I don't know who is. There's a breaking ball that is down, but around it went Reyes, and he's in the hole at 0-1. He batted .277 on the year. He led the Pacific League in home runs with 32. He led the Pacific League with RBIs with 90. As he takes a center cut fastball for a called strike, and the count now goes to 0-2. So no balls and 2 strikes. Reyes waggling the bat. As the right-hander Yamashita works himself into the set position. Here's the 0-2. Fastball swung on and lifted foul into the seats. Count remains at 0-2. So now's our proverbial commercial message before people start wandering in. We'll tell them to come back to the 25-minute and 30-second mark, because somebody's going to ask eventually, how do I watch this game? And we'll share it with you a little bit here. How do I watch the game? Well, first of all, it depends on where you're at. If you're in North America or if you're in the United States, it can vary where you are at. Some places they carry it on DAZN. As there's a split finger pitch that misses down, it's now 1-2 on Reyes. So DAZN is one. I don't think DAZN carries it anymore in the US. I know it does in Taiwan. Reyes taps both sides of the plate. He is using the torpedo bat as he waits here on the offering from the right-hander Yamashita as he works himself to the belt. Here comes the 1-2. Pitch on the way. Fastball swung on, lined into right field. It's going to get down for a base hit. Fielded on one hop by the right fielder Sugimoto. And so Reyes is aboard with a 2-out single, and that'll bring up the first baseman in Kentaro Kiyomiya. Other places you might be able to tune in, you can look at the game. Pacific League TV will carry it. You can also take a look at over in the States. I think TBS might be carrying this one here tonight, or maybe it is NHK. I can't remember which one. There's all kinds of other places. I know a lot of people were using Dingo TV. So that was something in the States folks were able to do. I don't know if you have to pay for that within the app. Kentaro Kiyomiya takes a first pitch breaking ball over for a called strike. The count is quickly 0-1. Schroeder says that the Ham Fighters were a strong minus 200 favorite tonight, with the Buffaloes as a plus 165 dogs. I would assume, and I haven't looked to see because normally they do put the starting pitchers up for tomorrow night's game. I'm going to guess that Miyagi will go tomorrow night. I'm not sure who the Fighters will send, but we'll look for that in a little bit. Breaking ball taken for a called strike, and the count now goes to 0-2 on Kiyomiya. So no balls and 2 strikes. Establishing his lead at first base is Reyes. Waggling the bat is Kiyomiya. The 0-2 ready to come here from Yamashita, and now he steps off the backside of the rubber. And we're going to go through this all over again. The starting pitchers announced for tomorrow night. They have not announced the starters for this matchup. They have, however, announced the matchup for the game between the Bay Stars and the Giants. It'll be Shoshi Togo taking to the hill for the Giants against Andre Jackson. And there's a split finger swung on and missed. And Yamashita, after allowing the single with 2 outs to Reyes, strikes out Kiyomiya for the 3rd out of the inning. He strikes out the side here in inning number 1. No runs in the inning, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left aboard. We are through 1 complete. It is the Buffaloes and the Fighters locked at zeros as we go to the top of the 2nd. We'll be back in just a few. Appreciate you for jumping in tonight. Our friend Harrison is with us. We'll be right back after this musical timeout. The scoreline is 0-0 as we move to the top of the 2nd. It is Buffaloes and Fighters when we return.
Hello, this is Eric Fox, formerly of the Oakland A's and Texas Rangers baseball teams. If you want to learn about Japanese baseball, see Coach Fred of Last Raps Baseball. If you want baseball instruction, see Coach Fred. If you want to learn about golf, do not go to Coach Fred. Fred, what kind of club is this?
At Last Raps Baseball, we know baseball.
Welcome back, everybody. Our friend Neo Valentine comes in and pounds the fist on the table and says, let's go Orix. The Buffaloes and the Fighters are locked at zeros here after 1 inning that has been completed. It'll be Masahiro Nishino, Tomoya Mori, and Yutaro Sugimoto to come to bat here for the Buffs to face Hiromi Ito. Ito only 17 pitches in inning number 1. As the right-hander kicks and delivers, there's a fastball that catches the outside corner for a called strike, and the count is 0-1. Nishino batting from the left side here against the right-handed throwing Ito. He gets his sign from his catcher, and he ready to go again. He works very deliberately. He works in a stretch position all the time. There's a breaking ball swung on, and it's hit right to the glove of the shortstop, Mizuno. And Nishino is in the books for the first out of the inning. That is one gone. It'll bring up the designated hitter in Tomoya Mori. Well, for Mori, interesting incision at the lineup. He missed a lot of games this year. Hit only .205 on the season. He had a homer and 14 RBIs. The one-time Pacific League MVP, of course, when he was with the Saitama Cebu Lions. Gets the nod here against the tough right-hander tonight. Last year was a bit of a problem. They really seemed to favor Wakatsuki behind the plate. Mori they had playing in the outfield last year when he wasn't DHing. There was a fastball swung on. This ball is lifted down the left field line, moving over toward the foul line, and there to make the catch is the left fielder Nomura, and that is going to retire Mori with the first pitch that he sees. He does like to swing at the first pitch a lot. He's a very aggressive hitter, and he is in the books for the second out of the inning. So Hiromi Ito hardly breaking a sweat here in the second inning of work. It's going to bring up Yataro Sugimoto to the plate. For Sugimoto, he hit .259 in the regular season, 16 homers and 53 RBIs. He finished fifth in the Pacific League in home runs. Takes a first pitch fastball on the outside corner for a called strike, and the count is quickly 0-1. So no balls and one strike. We did put our polls up tonight for the who do you think is going to win the Climax Series. So if you'll jump around to our community page, you'll be able to cast your vote as that split finger pitch misses down and the count's 1-1 to Sugimoto. As the Hiromi Ito has asked for another baseball. That one gets tossed out of play. So 1 ball and 1 strike it is. Fastball swung on and missed, and now the count goes to 1-2 on Sugimoto. We expect a full house. There are some empty seats right behind home plate tonight, but I would think that some of those folks are probably getting their fill of food somewhere. But the rest of the stadium is by far full of people. There's a fastball swung on. It is hammered through the 6-hole into left field. And Sugimoto is aboard with a 2-out single. That's the first hit of the ball game for the Buffaloes. That'll bring up the catcher in Kenya Wakatsuki. Our friend M. Schroeder says he's rooting for the under 6.5. Yeah, well, I would think in this ball game here with the 2 pitchers that are on the hill, this could probably end up being a 2-1 ball game. After watching the Mariners and the Tigers go 15, I guess my one piece here is I hope this game doesn't go 12. Be a lot of baseball for 2 ball games. So Wakatsuki steps in, hitting .272 on the regular season. He swings at a first pitch fastball, and the count is quickly 0-1. Gracie Lynn says she's really legitimately jumping up and down and screaming and crying that the Mariners have got through. Yeah, the Mariners definitely deserved the opportunity to move on. That is for certain. As the pitch is on the way, it's a fastball swung on. This is lifted down the right field line. This ball could be trouble, but it is just going to slice foul. And that's going to run the count to 0-2 on Wakatsuki. I was just about to say, Wakatsuki arguably having one of the best years of his career. He's hitting .272 this year, definitely on a batting average standpoint, the best year of his career, 6 homers and 31 RBIs. Neil says his team didn't make the playoffs, so he's rooting against his friend's team. I guess with friends like that, who needs enemies? As the 0-2 is on the way, it's a fastball that misses up on the way, and the count goes to 1-2. Arguably, that game reminded me tonight of the playoff, the World Series game between, I think it was the Red Sox and the Dodgers, and that was when Nathan Eovaldi came in and threw like 6 innings of relief for the Red Sox. I think Kenta Maeda was with the Dodgers, and he had thrown a few innings as well, a relief in that game. It was a fantastic ball game. There's a split finger pitch swung on. It's golfed over the head of the shortstop. It's going to get down into left field for a base hit. And so the Buffaloes, with back-to-back singles here with 2 on, have something brewing. That's going to bring up the center fielder in Taisi Haruka. Shorter says the Dodgers game went way too long, but what a wild ending. Yeah. I mean, I think JT Realmuto was directing traffic at home plate, trying to get the pitcher Kirkring to throw the ball to first. Gracie Lynn said that their friend's team just to wind him up. Why didn't we call the Tiger Mariner game? Well, to be honest with you, I was supposed to, my program was supposed to have games tonight, and we were supposed to play a doubleheader, but we had rain, and that got rained out as there's a split finger pitch that misses down. And then we run a tournament for the under 12s, and the U12s. We had to postpone all the games for tomorrow because there is rain in the forecast. So we're trying to get the last wrap-up tournament in on Sunday and Monday. Sunday is going to be a tough day at the park. There's a breaking ball that catches the outside corner, and the count runs even to 1-1 on Haruka. Haruka hitting .254 on the year, 7 homers and 34 runs batted in. Says the Hanshin Tigers. Yeah, well, I can understand that. The Hanshin Tigers are a pretty good ball club. There's a fastball swung through and missed by Haruka. The count goes to 1-2. Hanshin Tigers, pretty much have not had to play a meaningful game, what seems like in a couple of months, as they had gone off to the races and absolutely just stormed right on by the teams that they were playing against. Of course, the big jump that they had with the season that they had, usually when they get to August, they had more than a 10-game lead going into the month of August. There's a fastball swung through and missed. Haruka's down on strikes. He's out for the third out of the inning, and that is going to do it here for the Buffaloes in their half inning number 2. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left aboard. We are moving to the bottom of the second inning. Your score is the Buffaloes 0 and the Fighters 0. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be back in just a few. We appreciate you for hanging around here with us on the Last Raps Baseball YouTube channel. We'll be right back after this timeout. Joe Mansman is in the house. We're glad you can make it in, and it is Misery Living Company. The Tigers join the Mets on the sidelines. Our good friend Joe knows what it feels like. He just beat us to the punch. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. We are moving to the bottom of the second inning. It'll be Yuya Gunji, Yua Tamiya, and Chusei Manami to come to bat here for the Fighters in inning number 2. As Shinpita Yamashita had completed his first inning with 21 pitches, striking out the side and allowing 1 hit. Well, for Gunji, he steps in. He had a .297 batting average on the year with 10 homers and 42 RBIs. As the first pitch on the way is a breaking ball taken for a called strike. The count is 0-1. Gracie says, yeah, the Detroit Tigers are our team. That is for certain. Oh, well, it's the way it goes. They actually didn't expect a whole lot out of the club the way they had collapsed in the last couple of months. Split finger pitch swung on and missed. Count is 0-2. They had a lot of opportunities. And when you're presented with the opportunities and you can't cash in, that's the way she goes. So no balls and 2 strikes. Pitch on the way is fastball that misses way outside. And the count goes to 1-2. Be interesting to see. The Brewers, when I didn't realize this, were the only team to sweep the Dodgers both in LA and at home this year. Of course, they were the only team to sweep the Dodgers in LA and in Milwaukee because they're the only team that plays in Milwaukee, but certainly the home and the road stat. Very interesting. There's a split finger pitch swung on. It is lifted into deep right field, moving back to the warning track, leaping, and he can't come up with it is Sugimoto. The ball is down. It's off the wall. He picks it up and fires it back in, and Gunji has got himself a double here to begin the second inning. And the Fighters fans that come to their feet. Gunji aboard with a leadoff double, and that will bring up the catcher in Yua Tamiya. And for Tamiya, well, he hit .253 in the regular season with 5 homers and 21 RBIs. Kind of keeping my eyes peeled on some of the hitters that are using the torpedo bats and some that aren't. I don't think that Gunji was using one there. I noted that Tyler Nevin, who was playing his season this year with the Saitama Sea Blue Lions, was using a torpedo bat. There's a breaking ball that misses outside, counts 1-0 to Tamiya. Schroeder said he thought it was going to go yard all the way that we were calling it. Yeah, well, I got to tell you, it was, I couldn't tell if it went off the wall or if Sugimoto misjudged it, but it was up the wall for sure. And it looked like it just kept carrying and carrying and carrying. I didn't think off the bat it had a chance. There's a fastball that misses down and in, and the count goes to 2-0 on Tamiya. So you get the runner to second base with nobody out. Huge probability for the run to be able to score. So 2 balls and no strikes. Batting from the left side is the catcher of the Fighters. He squares the bunt and he gets it down, and it's just going to roll foul over on the third base side. So a 2-0 bunt. That looked like he was trying to bunt himself on for a base hit. Right idea, I guess, in that one there. The runner probably for sure would have got to third, and Tamiya, if that would have stayed fair, might have been able to leg that one out. It was a pretty decent bunt. Able to see the ball down and get a little bit of top spin on it, but a little too much spin that went foul. So 2 balls and 1 strike it is. Gracie Lynn says, we want to know her random Tigers Brewer knowledge. Well, I'll give you something to figure out. Who did the Tigers get in return for Ben Ogilvy? As that was a trade between the 2 ball clubs many moons ago, as they throw over to second base, and getting back in time is the runner Gunji. That's my useless bit of Tiger trivia with the Brewers. Joe Mansman says the Japanese guy coming to the MLB is overrated. Yeah, I saw today on MLB trade rumors that there was talk about Munetaka Murakami, who was the home run champion a couple of years ago for the Swallows. He's probably going to be posted this offseason. Again, squaring the bunt is Tamiya. He bunts it. Shinpita Yamashita off the mound to field it. He looks to third, but his only play is to first. It's going to go down as a sacrifice. It's going to go 1-4 in the books for the putout. Tamiya gone for the first out of the inning. Advancing to third is Gunji. That's going to bring up the right fielder in Chusei Manami. So I've seen the third baseman Murakami play live about 3 or 4 times, and the first thing I'll say is that I don't like his footwork at third base. That's number one. And I don't think he can hold down a regular third base job. That's my opinion. Because if Rafael Devers can play third, I'm not sure that his footwork is any better over there than what Devers is. So I think if he plays in the big leagues, he's going to have to play at first base or DH. As the pitch is on the way, it's a breaking ball that catches the outside corner and the count's 0-1. Now, we did a scouting report a couple of years ago when Masataka Yoshida came on. It's on our YouTube channel if you go and Google it and want to have a look. And I think about maybe doing one for Minami as well, just to give a scouting report to what is going on. So no balls and 1 strike as Minami waits here on the offering from the right-hander. As he kicks and delivers, there's a breaking ball that misses down, and the count goes even to 1-1. So just to finish off about Murakami, I think Murakami has the ability to hit the 30 home run mark in the big leagues, much like Seiya Suzuki did this season. I think that would have been fascinating. But I will say that I'm not convinced that, certainly not convinced that he's going to have a significantly high average in Major League Baseball. So I guess he'll fit right in with everybody else. Split finger pitch swung on and fouled away, and the count's 1-2 on Minami. Frank Gracie Lynn says, a Tigers-Brewers World Series would have been fun. Tigers' first ever game as a pro team was against an old Milwaukee Brewers on April 25th, 1901. Starting pitchers in that game, no clue. I wonder if Ty Cobb was in the lineup, though. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. On the way, fastball swung on and fouled away, and the count remains at 1-2 to Minami. So Gunji is the runner at third. There's 1 gone here in the second inning. Minami in the hole at 1-2. As this game is locked up at zeros. M. Schroeder says Jamie Moyer. Yeah, probably. It'll probably be as good a chance of an answer as that. He seemed to be around for 100 years. Just taking a quick peek at the out-of-town scoreboard. The Bay Stars have grabbed a 1-0 lead against the Giants. That game's in the top of the third. There's a breaking ball swung on. It is grounded past the diving third baseman into left field. And the Fighters have opened up the scoring here. An RBI single off the bat of Minami has them out in front as Gunji crosses the plate with the opening run of the ball game and of the series. Fighters now ahead 1-0. That brings Yuki Nomura to the plate. And that is also going to bring a conference to the mound as the Buffaloes are going to have a chinwag here. And it also looks like it was Yoshi Tsutsugo who hit the home run. Tsutsugo, as you may remember, had spent time with the Tampa Bay Rays. Also, I think was in the Dodger camp for a bit. I know for sure he was with the organizations of the Giants and the Blue Jays. They never got to the big league level. And I think he was with the Pirates. So Tsutsugo doing the damage over in the other game. I'd be interested to see. I'm indifferent on the Cubs-Brewers, who wins that one. In some ways, I wouldn't mind seeing the Cubs. I'd like to see how they stack up against the Dodgers since the beginning of the year when they absolutely were mauled by the Dodgers. There's a split finger pitch that misses down. The count is 1-0. I would like to think they're a better ball club. Certainly with Pete Crow Armstrong's season and the way that they played throughout the year, I think they are much better than when they played in Japan. Schroeder says Hokkaido might pour it on. Well, the pitch count is what we're going to have to watch here with Yamashita. As the pitch is on the way, it's a fastball that misses outside, and the count goes to 2-0. Already at 36 pitches here in inning number 2. And they got another conference here as the shortstop Taro Kirbiashi comes in to have a couple of words with the youngster. Gracie Lynn giving us recaps from the 1901 encounter with the Brewers and the Tigers. There's a fastball swung on. It's popped up over on the right side, and it looks like it's going to double off Manami, the second baseman on the play there for the Buffaloes. And that would have been Nishino. Had to go a long way. He was in double play depth. He caught the pop-up, and then they doubled Manami off of the base. So that's going to end the inning here. It's going to go as a double play, 4-3 on the putout. Manami gone for the third out of the inning. Nomura on the pop-out. But a run scored in the inning, 1 run on 2 hits. There was no errors, and nobody left the board. We're through 2 complete. It is the Fighters with a 1-0 lead over the Buffaloes. We'll be back in just a few. Our friend Joe Mansman pumping his fist for Jim Slayton, and that's exactly who it was. We'll be back in just a bit. Welcome back, everybody. It is going to be the top of the order to come to bat for the Buffaloes here in inning number 3. That means Yumamune, Ryo Oda, and Kataro Kobayashi to face the right-hander Hiromi Ito. Ito with 32 pitches through his first 2 innings of work. Ready to face Mune for the second time this evening. Mune 0 for 1. Grounded to second his first time up. Stands in from the left side to face the right-hander Ito. And now Mune has asked for time as he steps out. And they'll cycle through the signs again here. If you've just joined us, it is a 1-0 Fighter lead here as the first pitch fastball is taken on the outside corner for a called strike. The count is 0-1 as we are now in the top of inning number 3. Gracie Lynn is going to be in Regina, Saskatchewan for the game against the Lions. Fastball on the inside corner taken for a called strike. The count is 0-2. Round trip from Atlanta, 2 nights hotel and a game ticket for under $550. Well, I got to be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of the Canadian Football League, so probably somebody might have had to pay you for the ticket. There's a split finger pitch that misses down, and the count is 1-2. So 1 ball and 2 strikes, and so that would probably help your net on that one. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ito kicks and fires. There's a fastball that swung on and missed, and Mune is in the books. He's gone for the first out of the inning. And by our counts, that is the 3rd strikeout recorded by Ito here tonight. So 1 in the books. That'll bring up the first baseman in Ryo Oda. So Ryo Oda, Regina, Saskatchewan in November. Whew, bring your winter coat. So the right-hander ready to go, kicks and delivers. There's a breaking ball that misses upstairs, and the count's 1-0 to Oda. Oda 0 for 1 tonight. He reached on an error by the left fielder in the first inning. It was Nomura who was racing into the gap in left center field, and he just blatantly dropped the ball, allowing Oda to reach base. There's a breaking ball that drops in for a called strike, and the count now goes even to 1-1. Oh, the way back, I'm not sure. The way back looks like you're collecting frequent flyer miles to go from Regina to Denver to Atlanta. Oof. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Fastball swung on, and it's going to be lifted foul into the seats over on the first base side. The count goes to 1-2 on Oda. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. If you've just joined us, as we say, it is 1-0 for the Fighters. If we look over in Yokohama, Bay Stars have extended their lead to 2-0 as they have cashed another run in the third inning. It looks like it was a hit off the bat of Abina to drive a run in. There's a fastball swung on and missed, and Oda's in the books. He's gone for the second out of the inning. And Hiromi Ito now starting to heat up for the Fighters. That'll bring up the shortstop in Kotaro Kobayashi. So it looks like Abina had knocked in Hayashi to extend that lead to 2-0. That game tonight, it was a battle of Anthony Kay and Iori Yamazaki, as those two starters are going head-to-head in that one. First pitch, split fingers swung on and fouled away. Count is quickly 0-1 to Kobayashi. For those of you who are interested, the NPB draft will take place October 23rd. As it does take place before the end of the playoffs, there's a fastball that just misses, and the count goes to 1-1. So 1 ball and 1 strike. Our friend Joe Mansman says, what exactly is a ham fighter? Well, Nippon-Ham is actually a meat packaging company. So they're actually the Hokkaido Fighters, is truly their name. But Nippon is obviously Japan, and Ham is the company. 1-2 pitch on the way. Fastball taken for a called third strike. Ito strikes out the side here in the third inning as he gets Kobayashi looking, and the Buffaloes go in order 1-2-3. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left the board. We're now moving to the bottom of the third inning. Your score is the Fighters 1, the Buffaloes no score. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be back in just a couple of moments and continue on the chatter of this game here. It's a tough act to follow if you watch the MLB game tonight. We'll try to do our best to keep you in the loop. We'll be right back in just a few. Welcome back, everybody. It is going to be the 9-1-2 hitters to come to bat for the Fighters in inning number 3. That means Mizuno, Yazawa, and Ishii. Our friend M. Schroeder says, seems like there's a lot of guys that have been called out on strikes. 2 of the Fighters have been called out, and 1 for the Buffaloes as the first pitch fastball swung on and fouled away. Counts 1-1 to Mizuno. I would say that might be due to a bit of a wide strike zone from the home plate umpire tonight. If he stays consistent with that, this one could be a quick one. 247 average on the season, 7 homers, 39 RBIs for the shortstop of the Fighters. As Mizuno waits on the offering, it's a breaking ball missing outside, and the count goes even to 1-1. So 1 ball and 1 strike. Gracie Lynn said she was too embarrassed to ask the question. Well, as we said, it's the meat packing company. Fastball taken on the inside corner for a called strike. Count goes to 1-2. Yvonne Junk says, Japanese baseball, big Buffaloes fan. Well, we're glad you could make it in. As we will be back in tomorrow night as well for the second game of the series. Fastball swung on and lifted foul down the left field line, and the count remains at 1-2 to Mizuno. Japanese baseball will be with you for the entire playoff run. Only game that could be in jeopardy could be next Friday night, which would be Saturday. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fastball taken on the inside corner. And Mizuno down on strikes. He's gone for the first out of the inning, so chalk another one up in the called strike category. As Mizuno's gone for out number 1 here in the last half of the third, will bring up the top of the order in Kodiyazawa. Gracie Lynn says, if you want to talk about extremes, yeah, Cocoa Beach, Costa Rica, and Regina all in about a week or two's time. Yeah, that would be. Well, that brings Yazawa to the plate. He's 0 for 1 tonight. He was called out on strikes to start the ball game. And the first pitch is a breaking ball that drops in for a called strike, and the count is 0-1. Yazawa 0 for 1 tonight in this one, as they are starting their second time through the batting order, the Fighters are. Pitch on the way, fastball swung on, popped up on the infield, moving underneath it as the catcher Wakatsuki, but he's being called off by the first baseman Oda, who's there to make the catch, as it ended up in foul territory, and that is going to retire Yazawa for the second out of the inning. So 2 quick outs here to begin the bottom of the third, and it'll bring up the second baseman in Kazunori Ishii. Well, for Ishii tonight, another one of the casualties who went down looking on strikes back in the first inning. He's 0 for 1 here. Batting from the left side against the right-handed throwing Yamashita, who delivers a breaking ball that drops in for a called strike, and the count is 0-1. Interesting, as Yamashita's going through the second time through the order, really been breaking out the breaking pitches to start the hitters. So no balls and 1 strike. Pitch on the way. Another breaking ball that drops in for a called strike, and now the count goes to 0-2. So no balls and 2 strikes. Gracie Lynn says her sister attends college in Orlando. As the 0-2 pitch ready to go. And there is a breaking ball down. The count goes to 1-2. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Joe Mann's been asked the question, did Otani play for one of these teams? Yeah, he played for the Fighters. That was his club. And when you think of the sale of Otani and Yu Darvish, the proceeds of that helped to build this stadium. There's a fastball that is lifted over to the second baseman, and it is a nice catch there by the second baseman Nishino to end the inning, as Ishii's gone for the third out, and the Fighters go quietly in their half of the third. 1/3 of the ball game's in the books. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left aboard. We are through 3 complete. Your score is the Fighters 1 and the Buffaloes no score. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be back with the top of the 4th inning when we return right after this timeout.
Well, you got to have an ace in the hole, a little secret that nobody knows. Life is a gamble, a game we all play, but you've got to save something for a rainy day. You've got to learn to play your cards right if you expect to win in life. Don't put it all on the line for just 1 roll. You've got to have an ace in the hole. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. It'll be Nakagawa, Nishino, and Mori to come to bat here in the fourth inning, as they will be taking on Hiromi Ito here. And it is Matt Hollis's birthday today, as he is on his way to lovely Palm Springs. Had a chance to talk to him earlier, as he is taking advantage of a long weekend. And Schroeder says the Oppo of the Rakuten game on the channel, they couldn't throw a first pitch strike for their life. Yeah, pretty much. Had they tap it out. That was the 10-1 game. I don't think I've ever cut short games, but that was in the fifth inning. I just couldn't take it anymore. I had to get up early the next day. Game didn't seem like it wanted to end. As the first pitch on the way, it's a fastball taken for a called strike. The count is Nakagawa, 0-1 to Nakagawa. Nakagawa struck out his first time up. 0 for 1 tonight. The Samurai Japan named their team that's going to face Korea in another few weeks. I like the way they do that. Every year they face somebody. I think it was been the Netherlands, the Czech Republic. They always face somebody in a 2-game mini series. And that series there, they like to play after the season is done. And the Fighters had 3 players that were named, if I'm not mistaken, as the count is now 0-2 here to the right-handed hitting Nakagawa. Fastball misses down and away, and the count goes to 1-2. Yeah, the 9th inning crazy comeback. That was the Giants and the Bay Stars. The Giants and the Bay Stars. The Bay Stars just didn't want to win that game. I said if that was a preview of what the playoffs would look like, things will get going after inning number 7. There's a fastball that looks center cut, but the home plate umpire didn't go up with the right hand. I'm not sure what that's all about. Count goes to 2-2. Joe says, preparing for the World Baseball Classic. Well, they do it every year. I like the fact that they do it. I really do. They get the national team together. They play a couple of games. Crowd, of course, goes out and supports it. I'm not sure where this rendition of it will be. There is a fastball taken down the middle for a called third strike. Nakagawa is gone for the first out of the inning. And that is the 5th batter in a row retired by Ito via the strikeout. And that is now 6 in the books for him tonight. Gracie Lynn asked a question a little bit earlier, and she said, how much did the Fighters get for Darvish and for Otana? And I want to say it was in the neighborhood of about $70 million. Yeah, they didn't get anything for Kohei Arihara, who went to the Texas Rangers at the time. Although I wonder why they didn't. There's a first pitch fastball taken for a called strike. Counts 0-1 to Nishino. Nishino lined to short his first time up. 0 for 1 tonight. And at the time, I think that the stadium in American money was going to run around $600 million, the cost of the Escon Field. There's a fastball taken for a called strike, and the count's now 0-2. So no balls and 2 strikes. So when you think about it, you've sold 2 players for around $70 million, 60, 70, whatever it is, and it basically financed 10% of your stadium. Here's your down payment. Here's the 0-2 pitch on its way. Fastball swung on, grounded over through the 6-hole into left field, and Nishino's aboard with a 1-out single. Way good, too good a pitch with the 0-1. And Schroeder says it's now 3-0 for the Bay Stars. We'll try to get you an update on that one as quickly as we can. And it looks like it was Yoshi Satsugo doing the damage. They had runners on the corners, and he drove in his second run of the night. Looks like it was Ibina who came in to score. So 3-0 as they are still batting in the bottom of the 3rd. So Ito gets the sign as he's in agreement with his catcher, Tamiya, on the pitch on the way is a breaking ball taken for a called strike. The count is 0-1. So no balls and 1 strike. Joe says, is this the playoffs? Yes, it is. This is the first game of the First round of the Climax Series. Winner of this will take on the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. And that series will start in the middle of the night in the week, and we'll probably try to carry as many middle of the night games as I can. A split finger pitch misses down. Count is 1-1. Have to turn my sleeping patterns around for a little bit. Gracie Lynn says, who is the biggest name player that each of the 12 teams have sent to the MLB? 1-1 pitch on the way. Fastball swung on and fouled away. Well, that's a tough question. It would have to go on for quite a while to answer that. And, I'm not 100% sure, where some of the teams would fall in. For example, like the Tohoku Rakuten Golden Eagles, maybe that was Masahiro Tanaka, because he started his career there and he went to the Yankees. So 1-2 strikes. Came back, and now he's with the Yomiuri Giants. There's a fastball taken for a called third strike. Another called third strike. As Maury's in the books for the second out. The interesting thing about it is that none of the players are really giving the umpire a look or a hard time. Maury just turned and walked right away. It was a knee-high fastball that looked like it started on the inside corner, and then it ran across the plate. So Maury gone for the second out of the inning. Our friend M. Schroeder said, who's the top seed? Top seed is Fukuoka. Top seed in the Central League is the Hanshin Tigers. There's a fastball at the knees taken for a called strike. The count's 0-1 to Sugimoto. Sugimoto had a single his first time up. He's got one of the 2 hits tonight for the Buffaloes. I should say one of the 3 hits for the Buffaloes tonight, as Nishino had the third one. Here comes the 0-1 offering as the pitch is delivered. It's a fastball swung on and fouled on the first base side of home plate. The count now goes to 0-2. So no balls and 2 strikes it is. Ito getting his sign, nods in agreement with his catcher Tamiya as he works himself to the belt. Here comes the 0-2. Pitch on the way. High fastball missed up and away, and the count goes to 1-2. Gracie Lynn said she's packing it in. Busy day of college football tomorrow. Got an early wake up tomorrow. I got to go get some tarps, as our tarps are going to be set up. We got a lot of stuff to have to do it. There's a fastball that is swung on. It is a lifted foul over on the first base side. Giving chase is Tamiya, but he's going to watch it sail into the seats, and the count goes to 1-2. Schroeder says, I don't think he's seen a hitter. Probably this year was the most that I would say where we had a legitimate argument. I think it was a Hiroshima Carp pitcher hit Hanshin Tiger player in the head, and that's cause for an automatic ejection. But the coaches come out, there was a lot of jawing between the players. Haven't seen that in a few years. Fastball misses down and away, and the count goes to 2-2. Some friends of our channel that would listen in, I remember were saying a couple of years ago, you go back into the 80s and the 90s, and it used to be the Wild West. 70s, 80s, the baseball, there was lots of bench clearing brawls. There was lots of craziness in the Japanese game. Of course, you can find Rod Allen playing for the Carp, chasing after the Dragons pitcher who hit him with a pitch. There's a fastball that just misses down, and the count goes full to Sugimoto. Yeah, and the rule for that, or certainly, is automatic ejection. If a pitcher hits a batter in the head in the NPB, you're gone, whether it's intentional or not. We've seen some of that happen in the games. Not many. I think I've maybe seen live only 2 or 3 times where a pitcher has hit the batter in the head. Here's the 3-2. Fastball misses outside, and Sugimoto's aboard for the second time tonight. as he's got himself a walk. Advancing over to second is Nishino, and it's going to bring Kenya Wakatsuki to the plate. And it's also going to bring Iwatani out to the mound to have a word with his right-hander. Well, it looks like that inning is finally over in Yokohama. The Bay Stars did a lot of damage. They put those 2 runs up on the board, giving them a 3-0 lead. Currently, the starter Anthony Kay is yet to allow a hit in that one. We'll keep an eye on that as the game progresses. Also interesting that Shugo Maki is back in the lineup. He had missed quite a bit of time as he had an injury that curtailed his season. And they got him playing some first base there tonight in that one. So that's bringing Wakatsuki to the plate. Wakatsuki 1 for 1 tonight, singled his first trip. Runner at second, Nishino. Runner at first, Sugimoto. 2 gone here in the 4th inning. As Wakatsuki waggles the bat, waiting on the offering from the right-hander. Joe Mann's been calling his shot here. The first pitch is a fastball that misses down and away, and the count is 1-0. So 1 ball, no strikes. That was of the split finger variety. So 1 ball and no strikes. Ito leading in, getting the sign from his catcher, Tamiya, ready to go back to work. I would expect this game here to be at least a 3-hour affair. That's my guess. Here's the pitch. Fastball misses inside. Count goes to 2-0. Hem Schroeder says announcers, Jinx. Yeah, I wasn't on the call of that game, though. So would have been, I don't know if it was the leadoff hitter who ended up getting it. I'm not sure where the Giants are at in their order. It looked like it was 1 out, so it was Kishida who had the first hit of the ball game. Here's the pitch. Fastball swung on, popped up behind home plate. Tamiya giving chase, but it's going to get into the seats. Counts now 2-1. That's an interesting, unique piece about the stadium in Hokkaido, that they made a mistake in the building of the stadium. It's supposed to be a minimum of 60 feet from the point of the plate to the nearest part of the wall or the backstop. And from what I understand, it was about built 2 or 3 feet short. And of course, they're not going to change the dimensions. They had to apply or had to ask the NPB if it was okay. But it is a short backstop. As there's a fastball swung on and fouled into the seats behind home plate. The count goes to 2-2. But I remember that was one of the announcements that were made when they were building the stadium. Schroeder says it is a pitcher's park. I don't really know if there's any true park in Japan that is of major league standard outside of the one in Kobe. There's a fastball that misses outside. It's now 3-2. Hotomoto Field, they say, is the closest to major league specs all the way around. When you go to the stadium in Tokyo where the Giants play, it's certainly like a Homer Dome. So I think some of the numbers that play there are a bit inflated. Yvonne Junk says, not much offense in the NPB nowadays. Been away from Japan a couple of years. The new Fighters Stadium is beautiful. Yeah, if you go back, I had a little bit of a rant on it earlier in the season, and the home run totals are down by literally down by 2/3. There's a fastball swung on and fouled away. You'd have to go look it up somewhere in the 2010s. The commissioner of the league had to resign. It had to resign because of that they were acknowledged that the balls were being juiced. Inflated home run numbers. When you look at some of the players, today you lead the league in home runs like Franmil Reyes did, and he hit 30. What did he hit? 32. Have to look at our graphic. 31-30. The other side of the ledger, Sato hit 40 this year, and there was nobody even really close. Sugimoto hit 16 homers, and he finished 5th in the Pacific League. So the home run totals are down across the board in the NPB. There's a fastball that just misses down. That's going to load the bases as Wakatsuki draws a walk. Back-to-back walks here to Wakatsuki and Sugimoto. Nishino advances over to third, and it's going to bring the center fielder Taisi Haruka to the plate. And it's going to bring a conference to the mound here. And all while that's going on was Wakabayashi, Gakuto Wakabayashi, the former Saitama Cebu Lion, who hit the 2-run homer for the Yomiuri Giants. And that ball game over there to cut the lead to 3-2. So lots of fireworks going on in Yokohama. And certainly I would not have had Gakuto Wakabayashi on my bingo card to do the damage. Joe Mansman said inflated balls. Was Tom Brady the commissioner? I don't think that Tom Brady would have needed inflated balls. Maybe we'll take one Super Bowl ring away from him. But the rest of them, I think he was able to manage on his own. Well, this brings Haruka to the plate. He is 0 for 1 tonight. He struck out his first time up against Ito. He was now at 70 pitches here in the 4th inning, and the first pitch fastball is taken for a called strike, and the count is 0-1. I have to say tonight, last couple of batters here, the home plate umpire forgot to go up with his right hand a couple of times. He's at a very liberal zone. It's been very wide for both pitchers and both teams. And all of a sudden here in the 4th inning, it's tightened up a little bit. So no balls and 1 strike as Ito works himself to the belt. And the 0-1 on the way. Fastball misses outside, and the count goes even to 1-1. Schroeder says needs a double play. There's 2 gone here in the inning. So I'm sure they'll take 1 out wherever they can get. So 1 ball and 1 strike as the right-handed hitting center fielder of the Buffaloes waiting on the offering from Ito. I would have not predicted Ito to have had this much of a struggle the way he had started going, had that run of strikeouts here with 5 in a row. There's a breaking ball that drops in for a called strike, and now the count goes to 1-2. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. So 1 ball and 2 strikes it is as Haruka again steps back into the plate, taps both sides. Ito does work significantly slower from the stretch position. As the right-hander works himself to the chest, here comes the offering. 1-2 on the way. Fastball misses down and away, and the count now goes to 2-2. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. Again, the right-hander Ito picking up the sign from his catcher. As we said, it's like a Mexican standoff here with the runners on base. Finally gets the signal that he likes. He again works himself to the set. Here's the 2-2. Fastball swung on and lifted foul. It's going to reach the seats over on the first base side. The count remains at 2-2. And the game has taken a bit of a slow piece here. I'm curious to see how Richard Sunagawa, who just goes by Richard, is going to do in the playoffs for the Giants. Interesting trade. He would fit right in over there in the land of the Giants. Certainly a lot of power in that stick. Keep an eye on how his power plays out. He was acquired in the deadline from the Fukuoka Ball Club. There's a fastball swung on. It's grounded over to short. Mizuno gets it. He flips it to the second baseman, Ishii, covering the bag. And that is going to do it. It's going to retire Wakatsuki on a fielder's choice, 6-4 for the third out of the inning. And that is going to do it here for the Buffaloes in their half of the fourth. They threaten. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 3 runners left aboard. That is 6 left aboard through the first 4 innings. Your score as we move to the bottom half of inning number 4, it is the Fighters 1 and the Buffaloes no score. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be back in just a couple of moments with all the action on the Last Raps Baseball YouTube channel right after this timeout. Welcome back, everybody. It is going to be the 3, 4, and 5 hitters to come to bat for the Fighters in this one. It'll be Reyes, Kiyomiya, and Gunji to face Shinpita Yamashita here to begin his 4th inning of work. For Franmil Reyes, he is 1 for 1 tonight. He had a single his first time up. I have to tell you, the torpedo bat in Reyes' hand does look kind of strange as he waggles it, batting from the right side here against the right-handed throwing Yamashita. As the pitch is forthcoming, and it's a fastball that misses down and away, and the count is 1-0. So I thought that it was going to be Ito who would be the one who was maybe more economical with his pitches, but Yamashita, 48 pitches through his first 3 innings of work. He was able to rein himself in that last half inning when he was able to get the side 1-2-3. So here comes the 1-0 offering to Reyes as the pitch is on the way. Breaking ball swung on and tapped foul over on the third base side. Oh, the bat boy coming off of the bench to make a great fielding play. Gets a round of applause from the visitors from Orix. So 1 ball and 1 strike it is. That's pretty funny. Came sprinting out to take the ball on the short hop. What a snag by the ball boy. So here comes the 1-1 pitch on its way. Fastball swung on, and it is going to be hammered into center field for a base hit. And Reyes is aboard. That's his 2nd hit of the night. So he's got a leadoff single here to start the 4th inning, and that'll bring up the first baseman in Kentaro Kiyomiya. Well, for Kiyomiya, 0 for 1 tonight. He has struck out his only trip to the plate. Good piece of hitting there by Reyes, able to stay inside the ball, get on time with the pitch, and be able to hammer that thing. So Reyes, the runner at first. They're not really holding him. They're staying in front of him. As the first baseman, Oda, is a little bit off of the bag. There's a fastball that just misses outside. They appeal down to the third base umpire to see if Kiyomiya went around, and the third base umpire said no, he didn't. So 1 ball and no strikes. Buffaloes Fighters. Game 1 playoff action of the Climax Series. Fastball swung on. It's going to be lifted, foul down the left field line, giving chase. But watching it slice into the area just past the seated area off the wall is the left fielder Nakagawa. Count goes even to 1-1. So both the ball games in the Pacific and in the Central League are 1-1 games at the moment. It's bottom of the fourth inning, 3-2 for the Bay Stars in that one. It looks like they went in order. There's a split finger pitch that's waved at and missed by Kiyomiya, and the count goes to 1-2. So 1-2 strikes to the first baseman of the Fighters. Again, batting from the left side is the left-handed hitting Kiyomiya as the right-hander works to the belt. Here comes the 1-2. Pitch on the way. It is a fastball swung on, grounded to second. They go to second for one, back to first. That's going to be a double play of the 4-6-3 variety. As Kiyomiya hit the ball hard, but right to the second baseman, Nishino was easily able to turn that one into a double play, and that's going to leave it all up to the third baseman in Yuya Gunji. So the Buffaloes able to get some stellar defense for their starter. Brings Gunji to the plate, who has scored the only run tonight for the Fighters. He doubled to lead off the second inning. After a sacrifice by Yua Tamiya, he was brought home on a Chusei Manami single. And that is where we stand right now, 1-0. And there's a first pitch breaking ball swung on. This ball is belted into the deep left field. This ball could be trouble, and this ball is gone. A home run for Gunji as he has taken Yamashita yard, and that is going to double the scoreline to 2-0. And the Fighters are starting to get their jet motors going here as they have now taken the 2-0 lead. And that is now going to bring up the catcher in Yua Tamiya. So 2-0, the Fighters have doubled up on their scoring. And it has been all Yuya Gunji here tonight. And that brings Tamiya to the plate, who does not officially have it at bat. He had a sacrifice bunt his first time up. As the right-hander Yamashita delivers a breaking ball that is taken for a called strike, and the count is 0-1. Schroeder says the Fighters hitters are getting locked in. They're starting to put the bat on the ball a little bit better. There's a fastball swung through and missed. The count now goes to 0-2. So no balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, that's 6.5 for the ball game. As there's a fastball that misses up. They appeal over to the third base umpire as everybody starts running off the field, but they say that Tamiya didn't go around. It's going to run the count to 1-2. So 1-2 strikes. Again, Yamashita kicks and fires. There's a fastball swung on. It's grounded foul. This time the ball boy did not come up with it. 1-2 strikes to Tamiya. Yeah, if you had a couple of those ducks on the pond, if that double play didn't happen, that 6.5 could get to be really, really scary pretty quick. Here's the 1-2. Fastball swung on, grounded to the right side. Fielded shallow right field by the second baseman, Nishino. He throws to first. That's going to retire Tamiya on a ground out 4-3. And that is going to do it here for the Fighters in their half of inning number 4. Well, they had 1 run in the inning on the home run by Gunji. 2 hits, no errors, nobody left aboard. We are now through 4 complete. It is a 2-1 lead for the Fighters. We'll be back in just a couple moments. Going to go get another drink so that we're not hacking away here in your ear. We'll be right back in just a few. Top of the 5th, right around the corner. Welcome back, everybody. We're moving ourselves to the top half of inning number 5, and it is now a 2-0 lead for the Fighters, as we will update our ticker to keep you all up to date and posted. Yuya Gunji has been the man tonight, as he has scored both of the runs for the Fighters. He doubled and was brought home with the first run of the ball game in inning number 2, and he has added the lead with a solo shot in the 4th, and that is where we stand right now. So, as we bring ourselves to the 5th inning, I always say if it's 90 minutes in, I like to see 5 innings complete. But we get on the weekend here, I just can see this game going probably well past 1 a.m. Pacific time, and there's a breaking ball that misses upstairs to Yuma Mune for a ball, 1-0. Mune tonight 0 for 2. He's grounded to second and struck out in his 2 trips to the plate, as he bats from the left side here against the right-handed throwing Hiromi Ito. Ito, 76 pitches in his first 4 innings of work. My question is will he be able to get through and sniff the 6th inning? Here comes the 1-0 pitch. Fastball misses down, and the count now goes to 2-0, so 2 balls and no strikes. Again, the right-hander nods in agreement with his catcher, and he gets the sign that he likes. Here comes the pitch. Fastball misses down, and the count now goes to 3-0. Thinking tonight about that game in North America between the Tigers and the Mariners, and the 15-inning affair that turned out to be. You got to think the sponsors were pumping a fist in that one. There's a fastball taken for a called strike under the hands. Count goes to 3-1 on Mune. So 3 balls and 1 strike. Pitch on the way. There's a breaking ball that misses way outside. It's going to be ball 4 as Mune is aboard with a leadoff walk here to start the 5th inning, and that'll bring up the first baseman and Ryo Oda. Well, the one thing I'll say about Ito here, or at least with the Fighters, that you've kind of let the Buffaloes hang around a little bit. Buffaloes stranded 6 runners on base in the first 4 innings, haven't been able to get that clutch hit. If that continues to keep happening, you'd have to think eventually that's going to happen. As we take a peek over, still 3-2 as they move now to the bottom of the 5th inning in Yokohama. Game is just a little bit further ahead than this one here. So Ito works himself into the set position. Here's the pitch. It is a breaking ball swung on. It's going to be lifted into left field. It's going to get down for a hit. Stopping at second is Mune. Oda with his first hit of the evening. So he's got himself a single. That's going to put runners at first and second with nobody out. And it's going to bring up the shortstop in Kitaro Kobayashi. So the Buffaloes have got something brewing here in the top of the 5th inning. This is always the time usually when the gamblers like to start to make their way into the channel, and a lot of people like to play the first 5 innings, the over-under. And right now with 2 runs, I'm not sure what the over-under for the first 5 would be. With these 2 pitchers, my guess, if it was 6.5, our friend M. Schroeder was picking for the ball game, my guess would have been maybe 3.5 for the first 5. I didn't look at I sometimes look. I don't always look at the over-unders and the gambling lines. Kobayashi 0 for 2 tonight. He has grounded out and struck out in his 2 trips. See if the Buffaloes will bunt. That's one thing I'd like to know is who is the least bunting team in the NPB? If I had to put money on it, I'd have to say the Buffaloes would be right up there. Kobayashi, as I said, got a bit of a strange setup at the plate. A little different than what I'm used to seeing. There's a fastball swung on. It is lifted foul. It's going to reach the seats over on the first base side. Count is 0-1. And Schroeder says they're going to need to pull him. I would have a feeling that this is probably going to be his last inning of work. He is the ace of the staff, so you'd think that they're going to give him the latitude to try to get out of this jam. but he has got an uphill battle ahead of him. There's a breaking ball that misses down and away, and the count goes to 1-1. Really pitching Kirby away. This is what we noticed last year. Kirby during the regular season, would be hitting in the lower part of the batting order last year for the Buffaloes. And then all of a sudden, playoff time rolls around, and he's sitting in that 3 spot. Last year, it seemed that way too, where always batting 6th, 7th, 8th. And the next thing you know, they get to the playoffs, and he's thrust into the 3 spot in the batting order. Here's the 1-1. There's a breaking ball swung on. It breaks the bat. It's taken it short for 1. They go to second for 1. Back to first. It's a double play. That is going to be a 6-4-3 double play. Advancing to third is Mune. The bat went about as far as the ball. Oda's erased at second for the first out. On the trail side was Kirby. I don't know if that was a torpedo bat or not, but all that was left in the hands of Kirby was a sliver, and he's out by a half step over at first base for the second out of the inning, and that'll leave it up to Kai Nakagawa. And for Nakagawa tonight, 0 for 2. He has struck out both of his times he's come to the plate. Nakagawa getting the nod tonight in left field. No Nishikawa for this series. We never saw him on the active roster. Although I do believe that he is on the shelf with a knock. First pitch fastball misses inside, and the count is 1-0. So 1 ball and no strikes. Nakagawa waggles the bat, waiting on the offering from the right-hander, who's gets his sign from Tamiya. Ito kicks and delivers. There's a fastball swung on it. It is lifted into shallow center field. Coming in on it with plenty of room to make the catch is Yazawa. He's going to put that one away, and that is going to do it here. Well, the Buffaloes looked like they were going to get something going with the first 2 batters aboard, but a double play and a pop fly gets Ito out of the inning, and that will do it here in the 5th. No runs in the inning. There was a hit, no errors, and 1 runner left aboard. Your scores, we are now halfway through the ball game. It is the Fighters 2 and the Buffaloes no score. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be back in just a little bit. Our friend Eloy Perez is here all the way from Monterrey, Mexico. And M. Schroeder says they're getting so lucky with the runners in scoring position, not able to cash a run. We'll be back in just a few right after this. We got ourselves a 2-0 ball game as we move to the bottom half of inning number 5. We'll be right back with all the action in just a few. Welcome back, everybody. It's going to be the bottom third of the batting order to come to bat for the Fighters here in inning number 5. Chusei Manami, Yuki Nomura, and Tatsuki Mizuno to face the right-hander Shinpita Yamashita. And the first pitch that Manami sees, he hammers down the left field line. And as he rounds first, heading for second, the throw comes in, and it's not going to be in time. And Manami's got himself a leadoff double here to start the bottom of the 5th inning. His second hit of the ball game. And that is going to bring up the left fielder in Yuki Nomura. Our friend Eloy says, where you been? Haven't heard from you in a long time. Yeah, well, unfortunately, we were out of town. We were in Taiwan for a couple of weeks, and then we just didn't get the games in. We were pretty busy here in the fall. So we'll be on the call between now and the end of the NPB season. Our friend God is great in the house tonight as well from the Land of the Rising Sun. Glad you can make it in. The only game that I'm not sure I'll be able to get on would be next Friday night. I think that there's the games at 10 o'clock Pacific. I just don't know if I'll be able to get on the call for it. We'll just have to wait and see. As that breaking ball misses down to Nomura, and the count is 1-0. So we'll be able to get on the call for some games here. We got a pretty busy, supposed to be a busy weekend, but got a lot of rain in the forecast right now. There's a breaking ball swung on and missed. The count now goes to 1-1 on Nomura. So we'll call pretty much every game between now and the end of the season. As I said, Friday night could be an issue next week. I'll just have to check the schedules. So 1 strike to Yuki Nomura. As the right-hander again works himself to the belt, now delivers. Breaking ball waved at and missed, and now the count goes to 1-2 on Nomura. Eloy says, what are your thoughts on the MLB series? Well, my thought is the Mariners move on against the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays will be in the driver's seat because that first game goes on Sunday night. And I'm sure that series took a lot out of the Mariners here tonight against the Detroit Tigers. Here's the 1-2. Fastball swung on and fouled away. Count remains at 1-2. I think the Dodgers... in a way, I'd like to see the Brewers. I was saying earlier that the Brewers were the only team in Major League Baseball to sweep a home-and-home against the Dodgers this year. They swept the Dodgers in Los Angeles, and they swept the Dodgers in Milwaukee. And there's not too many teams in the MLB who could say that. The Cubs are going to give them all their money. That is for certain. Here comes the 1-2 pitch as the right-hander still holds to the set. Now delivers. There's a pitch that's down. It gets away. And Manami is going to make his way to third. It's a wild pitch. So Manami makes his way over to third base as the countdown goes to 2-2 on Nomura. M. Schroeder says the other game is now on a rain delay. Well, that's one of the reasons why I stayed away from that one there, because I saw there was rain in the forecast. I just didn't know how much. In Yokohama, it just comes in and out. Our friend God is Great says rains and typhoons in Japan. I've been following, I'm going to be in Vietnam in about 10 weeks' time, and I was following the typhoon that hit up in the north, which would have been around Hanoi, had a lot of flooding, and certainly some of the other cities in that area, but I'm not going to be up that way. And by the time I get there, typhoon season will hopefully be done. There's a ground ball hit over to third. Mune fields it. He checks Manami back to the bag. And Nomura is going to be gunned down at first. He's in the books on the ground out, 5-3 for the first out of the inning. So not a good piece of hitting there by Nomura. That's going to bring up the shortstop in Tetsuki Mizuno. Schroeder said started up, get top of the sixth. Oh, it's probably that break in the fifth inning. Eloy says, who do you think, Cubs or Brewers? Kind of mixed on it. In a way, I'd like to see the Brewers because they were the best team in baseball in the regular season. Wouldn't mind seeing them take on the Dodgers. On the flip side of the coin, the Cubs, who got absolutely wiped around by the Dodgers in Japan, will get an opportunity to play, and the Cubs are definitely not the same team that played the Dodgers in Japan early in the year. So either one, I'm not really picky on who wins, but you need to see the Brewers as that split finger misses down. Got to say, they're a pretty pesky team, the Brewers. They really battle, they grind. Outside of Christian Yelich and Jackson Churio and maybe Contreras, I don't really look at the rest of their lineup with a lot of fear, but they do grind and battle. Isaac Collins has had a good year for them. So 1 ball and no strikes. Infield is in here. As Mizuno trying to punch another run across here for the Fighters. Miami, the runner on third. Pitch, fastball swung on and fouled away. Count 1-1. God is great said, who are the Dodgers play next? It's the winner of the Cubs and the Brew Crew. So who do I think they'll play next? I guess it doesn't really matter. So I do think the Dodgers can handle both of those teams. There's no doubt about it. But who would have the best chance of beating the Dodgers? Maybe the Brew Crew. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Fastball swung on and lifted foul over on the third base side. Count goes to 1-2. Our friend Nick is in the house. Good to see you, Nick. He says, going to be a huge game for Shota Imanaga tomorrow night. Yeah, the bright lights on Shota. Wonder how long Craig Counsell will stay with him. One ball and 2 strikes. I still think the Tigers pulled Tarek Skubal an inning too early tonight. 99 pitches through 6 innings. He's your horse. He's your ace. Season on the line. I would have figured they would have taken him to 120. Here comes the 1-2. Pitch on the way. Fastball swung on and lifted foul into the seats on the third base side. And the count remains at 1-2. Not really sure why some of these teams are pulling their pitchers so early. I was thinking about the starting pitchers specifically. You got starting pitchers that are getting yanked early in ball games and yanked and yanked and yanked. I think a Casey Mize of the Tigers was pulled after 3 innings the other day. You've got how many millions of dollars invested in a guy like Casey Mize, and you bring in Tyler Holton making barely over the league minimum. Breaking ball swung on, grounded foul down the first baseline, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes it remains. So if you're going to put the ball into the hands of some of these relievers in critical and crucial situations, my question is, when are you going to start paying them as such? That's a topic that I'm sure we can go on about for quite a while. Eloy says Imanaga is trash. Well, I don't know about that, Eloy. I would say this, that he started off strong, but he had a problem with his lower body. It was a hamstring or whatever it was that had pushed him there as well. There's a fastball taken for a called third strike. And Mizuno is down on strikes for the second out of the inning. Friend Nick said, thought Flaherty could have gone another inning at the end there too. Well, that's another thing. Like, they bring in Kiter Montero into these tough situations, but yet you don't trust him to start a ball game. He pitched very well for the Tigers in the season, although I will say that neither Montero or Flaherty particularly were very good tonight. In terms of their balls and strike ratio, Flaherty certainly struggled in his first inning. Now, typically with starters, they usually, if you can get through the first inning, they can get on a roll. And to your point, you're surprised that they wouldn't have maybe let Flaherty go a little bit longer. I would have said the same thing. Here's the first pitch. It's a breaking ball. It's taken for a called strike. The count is 0-1 to Cody Yazawa. Yazawa, the leadoff hitter, batting with 2 out and a runner at third here in the 5th inning as the Fighters are trying to punch another run across. Schroeder says that's the problem. Their Achilles heel is the bullpen. As there's a fastball swung on it, has popped up into left field. Coming in, and underneath it is Nakagawa. He's there to make the catch, and that is going to do it. As Yazawa is going to be retired for the 3rd out of the inning, and that is going to do it here through 5 innings between the Fighters and the Buffaloes. No runs in the inning, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left aboard as they strand a runner at third. We're now through 5 complete innings. It is the Fighters 2 and the Buffaloes no score. You know what that means, everybody? It means we're going to go take a little break. We're going to refresh our beverage, and we're going to come on back and give you guys the rest of this ball game in just a few. Your score as we move to the Japanese halftime, as we like to call it. The Fighters with a 2-0 lead. We'll be back in just a bit. Welcome back, everybody. We are moving to the top of the sixth inning, and the Fighters are holding on to a 2-0 lead. It has been the Yuya Gunji show tonight, as it has been, both of the runs have been scored by him. A leadoff double in the second inning after being sacrificed over to third. A single by Chusei Manami brought home Gunji with the first run, and then a solo shot in the fourth had doubled the lead to make it 4-0. That is where we stand, and we are waiting to resume the action here. The top of the sixth inning is just around the corner, and we will be around the corner with it in just a couple moments. We'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. It is going to be Hiromi Ito still in the ball game, as he is going to be coming on to start his sixth inning of work. There is a defensive change for the Fighters, as it is going to be the end of the night for Yuki Nomura, as Go Matsumoto will go take over for him in left field. The first pitch breaking ball delivered to Nishino is taken for a called strike, as the action has been resumed. 87 pitches for Ito through 5. There's questions whether he was going to make it to the sixth inning. As the right-hander kicks and delivers, there's another breaking ball taken for a called strike, and the count now goes to 0-2 on Nishino. So Go Matsumoto on defensively in left field for the Fighters. Maybe about 3 or 4 innings too late, as the starter Nomura had dropped an easy fly ball that was hit into the gap in the first inning. Fastball swung on and fouled away. The count now goes to 0-2 on Nishino. Schroeder says that the Bay Stars have just gone yard. I'll have to take a quick peek at that one there. It looks like it was another Satsugo home run, his second of the ball game. Good for Yoshi. Very, very interesting. Both of them coming off this starter Yamazaki. There's a breaking ball swung on and another one fouled away. The battle is going to continue here to Masahiro Nishino. Balls can definitely leave the yard in Yokohama as well. We saw that last year and during the season this year. So Ito ready to go again as he kicks and fires. Breaking ball swung on, grounded softly to short. Mizuno fields it, throws to first. And he is going to retire Nishino on a ground out 6-3. So one gone here. That's going to bring up the DH and Tomoya Mori. Well, for Mori, he's 0 for 2 tonight. He has struck out looking and flown to left field his 2 times to the plate. As I said, I kind of raised an eyebrow when I saw Mori as the DH for tonight's ball game. Although I have to say, not a lot of firepower on the bench, other than Yuma Tongu in my eyes. For the Buffaloes, more defense and some team speed than anything else. Fastball swung on and fouled away, and the count is 0-1 to Mori. They have 6 players on the bench to the Buffaloes. Fighters have 8 positional players on the bench. Maybe one less now with Matsumoto in the lineup. But they have Mizutani, Isobata, Asamura, Nomura. They've got Shunto, Martinez, and it looks like Yamagata is the other one, if I can read my own handwriting. So no balls and 1 strike to Mori as he went back and got himself a new bat. He digs back in and waiting on the offering from the right-hander Ito, who holds to the set. Kicks and delivers. Fastball swung on and fouled straight back, and the count is 0-2 to Mori. So no balls and 2 strikes. Welcome everybody into the stream tonight who has decided to stop by and listen in. Same two teams tomorrow night. But the Fighters will look to extinguish the series if they can win tonight and tomorrow. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball misses way upstairs, and the count goes to 1-2. So ball and 2 strikes. Ito ready to go again, getting his sign from Tamiya. He kicks and fires. Fastball swung on. This ball is lifted high and foul, but it's going to reach the seats down the right field line. And it's even got hooked into the upper deck or into that mid-level deck. So 1 ball and 2 strikes to Mori. Right-hander Ito again delivers. There's a breaking ball that misses. I'm not sure where that missed. We were talking earlier about how the home plate umpire had a really wide zone to start the ball game. And then about an inning or so ago, it just seemed to go away. That pitch looked like it was pretty decent. He might have got that call in inning number 2, but not so much here. So 2 balls and 2 strikes as the right-hander delivers again. Fastball swung on. This is popped up into shallow right field. Coming in on it is Manami. He's still coming in. Now he's underneath it, and he makes the catch. And that is going to retire Mori for the second out of the inning. So 2 gone. It's going to bring up the right fielder in Yataro Sugimoto. Well, Sugimoto has been all over the base paths tonight. He had a single in the second. He walked in the fourth as he has reached on both of his trips to the plate. Our friend M. Schroeder says inconsistent umpires are the worst. Well, it's interesting because I thought, hey, he's going to have a wide zone. It's going to be all right. He looked like he was pretty good through the first 3 innings. The only problem is we play 9. There's a breaking ball waved at and missed, and the count is 0-1. You get some umpires who are pretty consistent the whole game. Some go inning to inning. Some go batter to batter. So no balls and 1 strike it is here to Sugimoto. Right-hander again kicks and fires. Fastball taken on the outside corner for a called strike, and the count goes to 0-2. I have to tell you, the umpire tonight in that Mariner-Tiger game, Alan Porter was the home plate umpire. I don't know how many pitches he had to call tonight. And he missed a couple. I'm not going to say he was perfect as he got later in the game, but as you get deeper and deeper into the game, it makes it way more difficult to call pitches consistently. Pitch down, misses to Sugimoto. It's now 1-2. So I don't really have an excuse for an umpire who's missing calls in the second and third inning. It's not like you've been out on the field for 4+ hours. There's a pitch that misses down and away, and the count goes to 2-2. Think about it. You're on the field over 4 hours. That game, I can't remember what time it ended at, but it started at just at 5:08 Pacific, and it finished about 5 hours. I'll have to go and take a look at the official time on that one, but I'm going to say it was right around the 5-hour mark. And they are probably partying like crazy in Seattle, the fans. So 2 balls and 2 strikes to Sugimoto as the right-hander Ito picks the signs up from his catcher Tamiya. And now he kicks and delivers. And there is a breaking ball waved at and missed. Sugimoto in the books. That's the first strikeout since the 4th inning for Ito, and that is going to retire the Buffaloes in order here, 1-2-3. Well, maybe we'll see him again in the next inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left the board as the Buffaloes go quietly here in their 6th. Your score as we move to the bottom of inning 6, 2-0 for the Fighters. We'll be back in just a few with all the action. We'll see what's going on in the game over in Yokohama. Here's our friend Steve Rademacher checking in. We haven't really done a lot with Steve tonight, but check him out when you get a chance.
This is Steve Rademacher, and I'd like to introduce you to my channel if you haven't seen it before. These are all the things I enjoy: sports, autographs, relics, non-sports Hall of Famers, pseudo-sports, Star Wars. That's my channel name and my name, and I would really appreciate it if you would come check me out and maybe even subscribe if you like it. Thank you for that for now, and back to your ball game.
That's right, everybody. Be sure to check out Steve after the game, and we'll be back in just a few. Welcome back, everybody. It is going to be the 2, 3, and 4 headers slated to come to bat for the Fighters here in inning number 6. Ishii, Reyes, and Kiyomiya. Shinpita Yamashita is coming out for his 6th inning of work. He really settled down after his first couple innings, as he has been more economical in his pitches. Ishii 0 for 2 tonight has popped to second, and he has struck out looking in his 2 trips to the plate. As the right-hander kicks and delivers, it's a breaking ball waved at and missed. And the count is quickly 0-1 to Kazunori Ishii. Ishii batting from the left side here against the right-handed throwing Yamashita. As the right-hander works himself into the delivery, and it's a fastball swung on it, is lifted into left field, coming in hard, and with room to make the catch is Nakagawa. And Ishii has gone here for the first out in inning number 6, and that'll bring up the designated hitter in Franmil Reyes. Well, for Reyes tonight, he's got a pair of hits in this one. The Fighters have pounded out 6 hits tonight, and Reyes has 2 of the 6. Both have been singles. He was erased in a double play in the 4th inning. Batting from the right side here against Yamashita as he kicks and fires. Fastball that catches the outside corner for a called strike, and the count is quickly 0-1. Got to tell you, I don't know what Reyes' contract situation is, but whatever it is, you got to think he's probably going to get himself a couple more years in Japan after this season. As there's a split finger swung on and missed, and the count now goes to 0-2. Led the league in home runs, led the league in runs batted in, all while posting a .277 batting average. Just missed finishing in the top 5 in that category. So no balls and 2 strikes to the big fella. 1 gone here in the bottom half of inning number 6. Pitch on the way, breaking ball misses down. They appeal over to the first base umpire, but they said Reyes didn't go around, so now the count is 1-2. So it is a 4-2 scoreline in Yokohama for the Bay Stars, as that Setsugo home run, his second of the ball game, has restored a 2-run advantage for the Bay Stars. As the pitch on the way is a pitch that's down in the dirt, and it goes all the way to the backstop. The count remains at 2, or is now at 2-2. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. I'm a little bit mixed on the series between would have been the Tigers and the Blue Jays. That would have been a great series up and down the 401. At the same time, the Mariners and the Blue Jays, also a lot of storylines in that one. American League, one of those 2 teams will be flying their way into the World Series. There's a pitch that misses down. They appeal over to the first base umpire, and they say that Reyes didn't go. It's now 3-2. There's a couple of Canadians on the Mariner team. Josh Naylor, who grew up in the Toronto area, and Matt Brash, I think he was from Kingston, if my memory serves me correctly. Of course, there's a huge following of the Blue Jay fans in Western Canada. A lot of people will make their way down to see the Mariners and the Blue Jays. 3-2 pitch on the way. There's a breaking ball swung on and fouled away, and the count remains at 3-2 to Reyes. So 3 balls and 2 strikes. .84 pitches now for Yamashita as he is battling here in the 6th inning. Buffaloes are going to have to try to string some offense together. Try to get back in this one here. They're going to start running out of outs as the back third of the ball game is staring us in the face. Here's the 3-2. It is a fastball check swing dribbled back to the pitcher. Yamashita fields it. He throws to first, and Reyes is going to be gone. Reyes couldn't hold up his swing. Ended up catching it on the fist, grounded right back to the pitcher. He's gone for out number 2, and that's going to leave it up to the first baseman in Kentaro Kiyomiya. Well, for Kiyomiya, as he comes to the plate, he is 0 for 2. He's grounded into a double play, and he has struck out in his 2 trips to the plate. Batting from the left side against the right-handed throwing Yamashita, delivers a first pitch breaking ball that falls in for a called strike. The count's 0-1. Kiyomiya grounding into that double play his last time up. He did hit the ball hard, but right to the glove of the second baseman. As the right-hander Yamashita holds to the set, here comes the 0-1. Fastball blown right by Kiyomiya at 157 kilometers. And so by our counts, it's about 98 miles an hour on the gun. So no balls and 2 strikes. Again, the right-hander nods in agreement with his catcher, and he works himself to the belt. Here comes the 0-2. Fastball misses up and away, and the count goes to 1-2. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Surprising a little bit for the other ball game to have more runs. They are ahead of us. As the 1-2 is on the way, there's a fastball that is swung on and fouled away. Another one at 158 on the gun. Yamashita throwing harder as the game goes on. And by all accounts, that game's going into the bottom of the 7th, so much better pace in Yokohama than there is in Hokkaido. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball swung on and grounded foul past the first base coach's box, and the count remains at 1-2 to Kiyomiya. Our friend M. Schroeder said the total was 5.5. I thought it was 6.5, but not really sure where that is at this point. Here comes the 1-2. Fastball misses in. It's now 2-2. Or are you talking about the 5.5 on the other ball game between Yokohama and the Giants? Interesting matchup tomorrow night with Andre Jackson going against Soshi Togo over there. And why I say it's interesting is because Togo really didn't have the year that I would have expected from him. Jackson had a quality year for the Bay Stars. There's a fastball swung on, is grounded over to second, fielded neatly by the second baseman Nishino. He goes to first, and that's going to do it. A ground out 4-3. Kiyomiya on the books for out number 3, and that's going to do it here in the 6th inning. They go in order, do the Fighters. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left aboard. 2/3 of the game is in the books. Your score is a 2-0 lead for the Fighters. One question I do have, why does the NPB play both of their games in the daytime on a Saturday afternoon? You'd figure that it would be better off that they play one in the day and one at night. That way there, you'd have to think that you could capitalize on both of the leagues making some money, that they're not playing head-to-head. But there are other people that are brighter than me. I guess they would have the answer for that. We'll be back in just a few right after this. at 103 pitches, Hiromi Ito is coming back out to start the 7th inning. I wasn't sure that they would bring him out for inning number 7, but I guess our question has been answered. Maybe A.J. Hinch of the Tigers should take note with Tariq Skubal, who had struck out 13 through 6 on 99. He did not sniff the 7th inning in Detroit or in Seattle against the Mariners. First pitch fastball swung on and lifted foul into the seats over down the left field line. Counts 0-1 to Kenya Wakatsuki. It'll be Wakatsuki, Haruka, and Mune to come to bat here in the 7th inning. I find it a little bit frustrating on certainly the way that the pitchers would be taken out of the games. I don't know if I can't comment about Seattle so much or even some of the others, but Shane Bieber the other day for the Blue Jays not being allowed to get through the 3rd inning. He's a Cy Young Award winner. Breaking ball that's tapped foul over on the third base side. The count is 0-2. You brought him in for a reason, and then you're turning the ball over to bullpen arms that probably combined don't have the salary that Bieber does. Then why are you paying him? It's the multi-million-dollar question. Here's the 0-2. Fastball swung on and lifted foul into the seats down the right field line, and the count remains at 0-2. I just find that particularly frustrating. You got to go with the guys who get you there and how they get you there, but such is the change in philosophy in Major League Baseball. Here's the 0-2. That pitch misses down. It's now 1 ball and 2 strikes as it gets away from the catcher Tamiya. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ito gets a sign. He nods in agreement. And he's ready to go here. He kicks and he fires. Breaking ball, waved at and missed. And that is going to put Wakatsuki in the books. First time tonight he's gone down on strikes. And Ito getting on a roll again it's 2 strikeouts in a row. It'll bring up the center fielder in Taisi Haruka. So by our counts, I think that's the 9th strikeout recorded by Hiromi Ito here in the 7th inning. So that'll bring up the 9-hole hitter in Haruka, who's 0 for 2 tonight, and he swings at the first pitch and fouls that one away, and the count is quickly 0-1. Haruka struck out in the 2nd, and he bounced into a fielder's choice to end the 4th inning. M. Schroeder says, true closers have seemed to die out. There's a breaking ball that misses down and away, and the count goes even to 1-1. I'm going to comment on that in a moment. As Ito ready to deliver, and there's a fastball that misses inside. The count goes to 2-1. I remember sitting in the Toronto Blue Jays scout program, or whatever they wanted to call it, a number of years ago, scout school. And one of the things the Blue Jays talked about is about how they would pay their relievers. As there's a fastball taken for a called strike. Of course, this is under the Alex Anthopoulos regime. So the philosophy may be a little different with the current crop of general managers and management that they have there. But one of the things that they said was, unless it was a Mariano Rivera type who was closing, fastball swung on and grounded over to the right side, fielded neatly by Ishii, throws to first, and Haruka's gone on a ground out 4-3. 2 up and 2 away here in the 7th. It'll bring up the top of the order in Yuma Mune. But where I was going with this is that they weren't going to invest in a closer unless it was a Mariano Rivera kind of closer. So when you think of something like that, based on today's standards, maybe an Aroldis Chapman with his pedigree, maybe a few years ago a Kenley Jansen. But for the most part, you're right. Kind of, M. Schroeder said, closer by committee. They're not going to give one guy the job to close the deal. First pitch fastball taken for a called strike. Count is 0-1 to Mune. Mune 0 for 2 tonight. He's grounded out, he's struck out, and he has walked in his 3 trips. As Ito ready to go again, he kicks and he delivers. And there's a breaking ball swung on it, is lifted into left center field. Underneath it is Matsumoto. He's there to make the catch, and that is going to do it. Mune gone for the third out of the inning. And the Buffaloes retired in order again here in the seventh. Ito now, by our accounts, has retired 8 in a row, or 9 in a row, actually, if you include that double play. So 9 in a row retired by Ito, and that's going to do it for the Buffaloes. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left the board. We're now moving to the bottom of the seventh inning. Your score is the Fighters 2, the Buffaloes no score. Stick around, everybody. We'll be back in just a few right after this on the Last Raps Baseball YouTube channel. Welcome back, everybody. A pitching change for the Buffaloes is Ren Mukanoki on in relief, and the first pitch delivered by the right-hander is swung on and grounded foul by Yuya Gunji. Count is quickly 0-1. Gunji tonight, both of the runs are by his ledger, as Gunji has doubled and came around on an RBI single off the bat at Chusei Manami, and then he hit a solo home run in the fourth inning, and that has supplied all of the offense tonight for the Fighters. 2-0 Fighters have the lead as the right-hander ready to go again. As the 0-1 pitch is on the way, there's a breaking ball that just misses outside, and the count goes even to 1-1. Our Filipino friend says the Bay Stars do well. There's a possibility it could be a rematch of last year's Japan series. That was what Bay Stars and the Hawks. As the 1-1 pitch is on the way, there is a breaking ball taken for a called strike. The count goes to 1-2. I would say that this is, I think I still lean toward the Hawks to win this year. I think the Hawks are going to do it, and I say that because the Fighters are ready to kick down the door for a run of championship appearances. This is a very strong Fighters team. 1-2 pitch on the way. There's a breaking ball swung on, grounded to the right side, fielded neatly by the second baseman, Nishino, who throws to first, and Gunji's in the books for the first time tonight on a ground out 4-3. 1 up and 1 away, and that'll bring up the catcher in Yua Tamiya. So I really do believe, at least in my mind, that the Fighters are a year away. A year away from making their finals appearance. They might do it this year. I've been about a year behind on all my predictions on Hokkaido, but I still think that they're a year away from making it to the Japan series. So if you're thinking of going over, think about next year as booking your trip to Hokkaido to see a Japan series game. Well, that brings Tamiya to the plate, who's 0 for 1 tonight. He has a sack bunt, And he's also grounded out, and he swings at a first pitch fastball. And the count is quickly 0-1 as he swung through the pitch. So no balls and 1 strike. Right-hander ready to go again as he gets the side from his catcher. Works himself into the set. Here comes the 0-1 offering. Pitch is on the way. Fastball swung on and lifted foul down the left field line. The count now 0-2. Our Filipino friend says this time it wouldn't be a Cinderella run for the Bay Stars. I agree. It's not a Cinderella run any longer since they won their championship. What was it? 96 or 98 was the one before. And they had gone something like 26 or 28 years without winning one. There was a fastball missing just up and away. Count goes to 1-2 on Tamiya. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fighters enjoying a 2-0 lead here in the bottom of the 7th. And the 1-2 pitch on the way. Fastball swung on and lifted foul into the seats over on the third base side. The count remains at 1-2 to Tamiya. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Again, the right-hander working into the motion. He kicks and delivers. Fastball just misses wide outside. The count goes to 2-2. We're talking about the closers in the last half inning, and M. Schroeder said maybe Roki Sasaki. Maybe. I never thought Roki would be a starter unless he developed another pitch, and the big pitch that he needs to develop is a changeup in Major League Baseball. Fastball swung on. This ball is lined into left field. It's going to get down for a base hit. Picking it up on the hop is Nakagawa, and Tamiya is aboard with a 1-out single. It's going to bring up the right fielder in Chusei Manami. He's got a plus splitter. He's got a plus fastball. And then I really don't like his curveball. His changeup to me is not so hot. So I think if I was, with the starting pitcher, you need to have at least 3 pitches, if not 4. And I was telling somebody the other day, I was commenting on, I've got Oregon State's pitching philosophy from a couple of years ago. I think it's laying on my floor over there somewhere. Anyways, they were talking about the philosophy with their pitchers, and they said if you can't throw a pitch 60% of the time for a strike, you don't have a pitch. As there's a fastball swung on, is grounded over to short. They're going to go to second for 1, back to first, and it's not going to be in time as Manami's able to leg it out. It's going to be a fielder's choice, 6-4 to erase Tamiya for the second out of the inning. Manami is safe on the trail side as he's aboard for the 3rd time tonight. And that is going to bring up the left fielder in Go Matsumoto. Our Filipino friend says he doesn't think they have the firepower to beat the Hawks. Well, I think the Hawks have the pitching. That pitching that they have with Moinello, Ozeki, I forget the other starters. They got 4 guys that all won double digits. Kohei Arihara. And was it Uesawa? I think the other one is. As there's a fastball that misses down, and the count is 1-0 to Matsumoto. Matsumoto came on defensively in the 6th inning for Yuki Nomura. And the old adage, good pitching beats good hitting all day long. But the Tigers have some pretty good pitching as well. Fastball misses down, and the count goes to 2-0. So 2 balls and no strikes. There's more action, or there's some action going on right now in the Fighters bullpen, so that may signal the end of Hiromi Ito in this one. Imamone had called time and had gone in to have a word with his pitcher. So 2 balls and no strikes to Matsumoto. 2 gone here in the inning. Pitch on the way. Fastball. Take it for a called strike. And the count goes to 2-1 on Matsumoto. Schroeder said he wasn't very good to start the year. It looks like it's Tanaka who's the one who's up and throwing. That would be Seiji Tanaka. As the right-hander ready to go again. Inoki kicks and fires. There's a fastball swung on. This is lifted foul down the right field line. And the count now is 2-2 to Matsumoto. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. Matsumoto taps his cleats. Digs himself back in. And ready again. As we said before, it seemed to really had slowed down. The pace of the game kind of picked up a little bit here recently. There hasn't been as much action on the base paths. Certainly from the other standpoint, there's a fastball in the dirt. Off to the races goes Manami, and he's going to get gunned down. He's going to be caught stealing. It's going to go 2-6 in the books for the third out of the inning. And that is going to do it here for the Fighters in their half of the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, nobody left the board. We're now through 7 complete. Your score is the Fighters 2, the Buffaloes no score. Stay with us, everybody. There's a pitching change coming up. It looks like Seiji Tanaka is coming into the ball game. We'll be back in just a few.
Well, you've got to have an ace in the hole, a little secret that nobody knows. Life is a gamble, a game we all play, but you've got to save something for a rainy day. You've got to learn to play your cards right if you expect to win in life. Don't put it all on the line for just one roll. You've got to have an ace in the hole.
Is coming into the ball game and taking over here for the Fighters in this one as Hiromi Ito's day is done. Ito had retired the last 8 batters he had faced in a row. I guess 9 if you include the double play. So Tanaka taking over in relief here. That's something else that you see too in the Japanese league. You see a lot of power arms. The power arms, and they can roll one after another. You go back, you go back 20 years ago, and you just wouldn't see the amount of power arms that could come out of their bullpens. But certainly in today's game, one after another. We got Tori says, "What's up?" Welcome into the stream. What's up is that it is a 2-0 lead here for the Fighters. As we are getting into the deep water, the Buffaloes are running out of outs. Oda, Kobayashi, and Nakagawa to come to bat here for the Buffaloes in inning number 8. 2 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for the Fighters, 0-4-0 for the Buffs. First pitch fastball comes inside and almost hits Oda as it backs him off the plate. Oda's been aboard twice tonight. He is officially 1 for 3. He has a single, he struck out, and he has reached on an error. As the right-hander works himself to the belt, here comes the 1-0. Tanaka delivers. Fastball misses down and away, and the count goes to 2-0. So 2 balls and no strikes. So back to M. Schroeder's comment about closer by committee. This would be exactly where this would fit in. Tanaka, in his own right, is a closer or has closed games. There's a fastball taken for a called strike. But yet he comes in here in the 8th inning and probably facing a more difficult part of the order with Oda, Kobayashi, and Nakagawa. And so why would you waste your closer in the 9th to face the part of the order that maybe isn't as strong as somewhere else? There's a fastball swung on it, is lined right to the glove of the second baseman, Ishii. Oh, he hit the ball right on the screws, did Oda, but right to the glove of the second baseman, and he's going to be gone for the first out of the inning. I'll bring up the shortstop in, Kotaro Kobayashi. 13 saves this year for the reliever Tanaka. Of course, he saved 20 games a year ago and 25 a couple years ago. He had come over from the Fukuoka Ball Club. As the pitch on the way is a first pitch fastball taken for a called strike at 95 on the outside corner. Kobayashi tonight, tough night at the office, 0 for 3. Grounded into a double play, struck out looking and grounded out to short. No balls and 1 strike to the right-handed hitting shortstop of the Buffaloes. Breaking ball drops in for a called strike. Not sure that Kobayashi appreciated the call as much as the home crowd had. And it is now no balls and 2 strikes. Tori says, do you think that the Hawks will get back to form and win it again? There's a fastball that is swung on and lifted foul down the right field line, and the count remains at 0-2. You know, it's interesting. I was just talking about that just a bit ago, and we were talking about I do think this is the last year for the Hawks to make a solid run. I think they got to retool their offense. Their offense is a little bit in need of a little bit of help. Needed a little injection over there of maybe some youth, as there's a breaking ball waved at and missed, and Kobayashi gone for the second out of the inning. So 2 quick outs here, and that's going to leave it all up to the left fielder in Kai Nakagawa. And on top of it, I just don't think that the Fighters are quite ready to win yet. They're another year away. I think the Fighters, 1 more year, and I think it'll be their turn. Schroeder says a leadoff 4-pitch walk to the Bay Stars in the bottom of the 8th inning. First pitch fastball swung on, grounded softly over to second. Fielded neatly by Ishii, throws to first. Nakagawa is going to be gone, and it's a quiet 1-2-3 inning here for the Buffaloes in their half of the 8th. No runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left the board. We are now moving to the bottom of the 8th inning. It is the Fighters 2, the Buffaloes no score. We'll be back in just a couple moments with all the action here, and we'll look in on what is happening in that game between the Giants and the Bay Stars when we come back in just a few. Hang with us, everybody. We appreciate you for being here on the Last Raps Baseball YouTube channel. Coming to bat will be Matsumoto, Mizuno, and Yazawa when we return after this timeout. Your scoreline is 2-0 as we move to the bottom of the 8th inning. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everybody. It is going to be coming to bat the 8, 9, and 1 hitters, as it was Go Matsumoto who was up to bat when the inning had ended. That means Matsumoto, Mizuno, and Yazawa, as there is a pitching change as the Buffaloes are going back to the bullpen. It is going to be number 40, and this is going to be Sho Iwasaki in the ball game. So the right-hander is just completing his tune-up tosses. So Sho Iwasaki on in relief, the third pitcher used by the Buffaloes here tonight. Matsumoto was up at the plate when Manami was gunned down stealing second. Or is it going to be Matsumoto? We're going to have to take a look, see if they're going to bring a pinch hitter in for him, or if he does make it back out yet again. Nope, it is Matsumoto. So Matsumoto, Mizuno, and Yozawa to get things going here. On the season, tough year for Matsumoto. He only hit $188. As the right-hander Iwasaki kicks and fires, it's a fastball that misses down. That pitch came in at 97 on the gun. So 1 ball and no strikes it is to Matsumoto. Our Filipino friend says he kept forgetting Ohtani was a product of the Fighters. Yes, he was. There's a fastball swung on. This is going to be lined to the left field. It's going to get down for a base hit. And Matsumoto is aboard with a single, and that is going to bring up the shortstop in Tatsuki Mizuno. Schroeder says base is juiced for Yokohama. I knew that as we came back, a leadoff walk, and then Abina had a hit. So I don't know who was after Abina who got on. So they're looking to extend their lead. Bases loaded, nobody out. You'd think they got to get at least 1 run out of this, if not a pair. But remember that game we did a few weeks ago? Maybe nothing's safe in Yokohama. Got to be able to pound a whole bunch of runs across the plate. So we do have a pinch runner for Matsumoto at first base. It is going to be Isobata who has come in to run. So interesting that Matsumoto, who once upon a time was a pretty good runner. Now they're squaring the bunt here is Mizuno, and he bunts, he pops it up, but it gets down. They're going to try to go to second, and they're going to nail Isobata. He had to freeze because the ball was up in the air. Nice play there by the Buffalo defense, as they're able to gun him down at second base. That's a tough play. Our friend M. Schroeder said it was a Setsugo single who was 4 for 4 tonight. Have a series Setsugo. So that was a split figure pitch. It was up in the zone. The ball was popped up by the pinch hitter, or by the hitter Mizuno. The ball ended up getting down. As it got down, it was the third baseman Mune who fielded it and fired to second. And that's a fielder's choice to erase Isobata. It goes 5-4 in the books. So 1 gone. Mizuno safe at first on the fielder's choice, and it's going to bring the top of the order Kota Yazawa to the plate. And the first offering to Yozawa instead is thrown over to first base, and diving back in time is Mizuno. Got to keep your eye on Mizuno. He only had 5 stolen bases during the regular season, but he can run a little bit. His first step quickness is pretty good. It's get up to full speed in pretty much 1 step. The right-hander delivers. There's a fastball swung on. This ball is lined into right field, right to the glove of Sugimoto, who's waiting for it on the warning track. And that is going to retreat Mizuno back to first. Oh, Yazawa hit the ball right on the screws, right to the glove of the right fielder. He's gone for the second out of the inning, and that'll bring up the second baseman in Kazunori Ishii. Well, for Ishii tonight, officially 0 for 3. He has popped to second, flown to left, and struck out looking in his 3 trips. But he's playing a pretty steady second base tonight. He has a number of assists and involved in many a play. As the right-hander holds again to the set, here comes the pitch. Breaking ball swung on, chopped softly over to first. Fielding it. Oh, what a nice play on the backhand by the first baseman, Oda. He thought about going to 2 for the fielder's choice, but he threw it back to the pitcher covering, and that is going to do it. Ishii gone on a ground out 4-3 to end the inning. No runs in the inning, 1 hit, no errors, and there was 1 runner left to board. Your score is we are now through 8 complete. It is a 2-0 Fighters lead. A pitching change will be upon us. We'll be back here in just a moment. It looks like Saito is coming on in relief. We'll be back to bring that for you, or we'll bring that for you in just a couple moments.
Hello, this is Eric Fox, formerly of the Oakland A's and Texas Rangers baseball teams. If you want to learn about Japanese baseball, see Coach Fred of Last Raps Baseball. If you want baseball instruction, see Coach Fred. If you want to learn about golf, do not go to Coach Fred. Fred, what kind of club is this?
At Last Raps Baseball, we know baseball.
Welcome back, everybody. It is a pitching change, as this is going to be the closer coming in for the Fighters, and it is going to be number 48, and that would be Yukiya Saito, as he will take over here, bringing in his 1.35 ERA through 47 appearances for the Fighters during the season. He is the 3rd pitcher used tonight by the Fighters. He replaces Seiji Tanaka, who took over in the 8th inning for Hiromi Ito, who went a strong 7 here tonight. So Saito on in relief, looking to close the deal as he is just completing his tune-up tosses and will be ready to resume the action in just a moment. So Saito on the hill, and he is slated to face Nishino, Mori, and Sugimoto. We'll see if the Buffaloes decide to go to the bench to maybe bring something else out. But really, outside of Yuma Tongu, I don't really see anything from a productive offensive standpoint that the manager Kishida would be looking at. So the right-hander Saito has completed his tune-up tosses, and we're ready to resume the action. Our friend M. Schroeder said it is now 5-2, as Yokohama has extended their lead. I haven't seen that as the update quite yet, but we'll take your word for it as we are still at 4-2 on our boards. So Nishino coming to the plate. He is 1 for 3 tonight. He has a single and 3 trips. There were a couple of defensive changes. Isobata has taken over in left field. There is a new second baseman for the Fighters as well in this one, but we didn't catch the number on that. There was a first pitch fastball at 99 miles an hour taken for a called strike, and the count is 0-1 to Nishino. So no balls and 1 strike. Right-hander Saito kicks and delivers. There's a fastball swung on. It's grounded over to first. Oh, what a nice defensive play there by Kiyomiya, and he's going to win the race to the bag. And that is going to retire Nishino on a ground out to 3 for the first out of the inning. So 1 up and 1 away. I'll bring up the designated hitter in Tomoya Mori. We're just taking a look to see the defensive change at second base for the Fighters. It looks like it is Yamagata who has come into the game. So Shu Yamagata on to replace Kazunori Ishii for defensive purposes here in the 9th. Schroeder says, just going off of Google, I didn't see anything updated yet, but chances are probably in your favor with bases loaded, nobody out. First pitch fastball swung on and fouled away. Count is 0-1 to Mori. Mori tonight, tough night at the office, 0 for 3. Flew to left, flew to right, and has struck out looking at his 3 previous trips. And Google might be just a bit ahead of us because It was a hit from Shugo Maki, bases loaded single to drive in Kuwahara. There's a fastball that misses down, and the count goes to 1-1 on Mori. That was 100 miles an hour from Saito. He did have a pitching change as the Giants had gone to their bullpen, but it didn't seem to make a difference as Mackey had the base hit. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Fastball swung on, grounded over to first. It looks like an instant replay of the last play. Kiyomiya fields it. He's going to take it himself. So back-to-back groundouts to first. And now the Buffaloes are down to their final out. And it looks like that the manager, Shinjo, is making a defensive alignment maneuver. He's moving Isobata into center field, and he's taking Yozawa and moving him over into left. Interesting that he would do that in mid-inning. Maybe it had to do with who the batters were coming to the plate, because Sugimoto is striding into the dish. He is officially 1 for 2 tonight. He's got a single in 3 trips. He's officially 1 for 2. He's also drawn a walk, and he has struck out. So Sugimoto trying to extend the ball game here for the Buffaloes, who find themselves in a 2-0 deficit. And it looks like that the Bay Stars added another run to make it 6-2. A sacrifice fly. So it looks like the Giants are facing the barrel of a shotgun. There's a first pitch fastball that swung through and missed. The count is 0-1 to Sugimoto. 2 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the Fighters. No runs, 4 hits, and no errors for the Buffaloes. That is the line score in this one. Buffalo's down to their final out here as the Fighters are trying to knock them off here tonight. Here's the 0-1. Fastball swung through and missed. That was at 100 miles an hour, and now the count goes to 0-2. So now the Buffalo's down to their final strike. Just a reminder, we'll be back on the airwaves again tomorrow night. So if you're in the neighborhood, same 2 teams, same channel, be sure to pop in and take in all the action. So here comes the 0-2 pitch. Fastball swung on. This is going to be lifted foul down the right field line. Count remains at 0-2. Once this game is finished, we'll give you the full roundup. It'll be a quick one here tonight, and then we'll give you the out-of-town scoreboard, which accounts for only one other game. And then we'll put this to rest. Down to the final strike here. No balls and 2 strikes. Sugimoto digs back in. Saito getting the sign from his catcher, Tamiya, as he works himself into the set position. Here comes the 0-2. He kicks and delivers. Fastball misses down, and the count goes to 1-2. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Again, the right-hander ready to go again as he works himself to the set. Here comes the 1-2. Pitch on the way. Fastball comes up and in and almost hits Sugimoto. That was 99 miles an hour. That'll clear your sinuses. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Get off the plate, Yataro. So 2-2 to Sugimoto, as the Fighters are looking to put the nail in the coffin here in the first game of the series and pretty much destroy any potential hopes that the Buffaloes might have of getting back into the series. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Fastball swung on and missed, and that's the ball game. It's going to do it here. The Buffaloes go in order here in the 9th. The last, by our count, 15 batters retired in a row by Fighter pitching. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left aboard. Your final score is the Hokkaido Nippon-Ham Fighters 2, the Orix Buffaloes no score. Stick around, everybody. We'll be back in just a couple moments to wrap this one up for you, give you all the breakdown, and put it to rest. We'll be right back after this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste. Hey, I hope you guys have been enjoying the game. My name is Hollis. I've got a YouTube channel called Another Hollis Build. I love baseball cards. I open up brand new product for you guys. I open up old stuff. I do breaks. I do auctions. All kinds of stuff concerning baseball. I'm Friars faithful, Padres to the end. I also love Garbage Pail Kids and my animals. I have a ton of animals. It's like a mini petting zoo here around my house. I also love my city. San Diego, baby. I'll take you all around the city and show you what's up. If you guys dig stuff like that, cruise on over and check it out. It's Another Hollis Build. If you dig it, subscribe. I'd really appreciate to have more follow me along on the journey. Hey, either way, you guys have a wonderful day or a beautiful, beautiful evening. No matter which one it is, make sure that you make it great, my friends. Big up Last Raps Baseball. Yeah, Freddie, let's go. One love and peace. Yeah, man.
Welcome back, everybody. This will be a quick roundup for you. Only 2 runs scored tonight, both by Yuya Gunji. The Fighters opened the scoring in the second inning. A leadoff double by Gunji. He was sacrificed over to third by Yua Tamiya. And Chusei Manami drove home Gunji with the first run of the game, opening the scoring 1-0 for the Fighters after 2. They doubled their lead in the fourth inning as there was 2 out. Gunji stepped up to the plate and deposited a home run into the left field seats. That made the scoreline 2-0 for the Fighters, and that's where it stood, and that's where it finished. So 2-0 is your final score. The win tonight goes to Hiromi Ito. It's his first win of the playoffs. The loss goes to Shinpita Yamashita. He's 0-1 in the playoffs. Ito goes 7 innings tonight, picking up the victory. The save is going to be accredited to Yukiya Saito. Again, your final score 2-0. The score in the other ball game, as we had peeked in, it is 6-2 now for the Bay Stars as they are cruising to the top of the 9th inning. Giants are down to their last bats in that one there. And that is your final here tonight. Once again, we appreciate everybody who has been here. Our friend M. Schroeder, thank you very much. And we're glad you were able to pop in and listen. Everybody else who made it in tonight, our Filipino friend, Gracie Lynn, Joe Mansman, not to mention Tori, Eloy, Perez, Nick. And God is great as always. And anybody else who I missed early on, whether it be our good friends who popped in as well, including B. Von Junk. All right, everybody, have a great night, and we'll see you again tomorrow night. Same 2 teams, same action. Look forward to having you again.